Anfield. Now, at this newly renovated ground, there are more Liverpool fans than ever before for this fixture. And it begins now as Michael Oliver blows his whistle. Pat Nevin sitting alongside me here as Liverpool kick off in the red kit with the white trim, Manchester City sky blue shirts, white shorts and blue socks. And what have Manchester City gone and done, Pat Nevin?
Exactly what I suggested they should do before the game. They've turned them around, and Liverpool will not be shooting into the cock in the second half. Can't believe teams don't do that more often, and just shows you Pep Guardiola thinks of everything.
Yep, as the World Service listeners join us here on 5 Live on Anfield. On a grey, murky afternoon, it's been damp, but the atmosphere is absolutely crackling. Liverpool against Manchester City in the Premier League, and the ball is back with Kelleher, who will play the ball out towards the halfway line where Nunez was in an offside position. So Liverpool are without Salah today, although he is on the bench, but only on the substitutes bench. The top scorer, Konate, is injured and out after he picked up that problem in Prague on Thursday night when Pat was there watching them. And Joe Gomez playing at left back, so Andy Robertson only on the substitutes bench. So Foden with a touch, then it's played over the top by Rodri. De Bruyne making ground down the right flank, it's played into Foden on the edge of the penalty area. Important challenge inside the box, and a good one as well by the Liverpool captain Van Dijk. And Liverpool look to break away, but it's snuffed out by Walker on the halfway line.
Oh, what a fantastic start to the game. That's what he wanted. De Bruyne getting in there, a great position. Oddly enough, Foden took a touch more than I expected. However, Van Dijk's timing, superb.
And what a pass from Rodri as well on the halfway line to set De Bruyne away.
And a brilliant movement. And then, of course, Liverpool then break and almost get through himself. And it took Walker's phenomenal pace to stop that being a chance as well.
As Manchester City, oh, that's a lovely touch from Bernardo Silva to beat Bradley. Now the ball to Alvarez with a low shot. Kelleher makes the save. There's a little juggle there, and Bernardo Silva was interested and looking to get in there in case the Liverpool goalkeeper let that slip, but he grabbed it.
It's very unlikely, but I really hope it keeps on going at this pace for 2 minutes in, and it's been end to end. Neither team is coming here for a draw, that's for certain.
Liverpool 0, Manchester City 0. 5 Live, BBC Sounds and the World Service. That's Pat Nevin alongside me, twice a Chelsea Player of the Year, Scotland international. And on the subject of your homeland, Pat, to Glasgow, Kenny Crawford.
57 minutes gone in a Scottish Cup quarter-final between Celtic and Livingston. Livingston have equalised 2-0. Tete Yengi, the Australian striker, curled a brilliant goal. It's not easy for Celtic, the holders. 2-2.
2-2, so we will keep you updated on that. Brighton 1, Nottingham Forest 0 is the latest score at the Community Stadium. That match is on Sports Extra right now. It is still West Ham 1, Burnley 2. That is quite a scoreline this afternoon. And the Wales-France match in the Six Nations has reached half-time with you in Cardiff, Claire Thomas.
It's Les Bleus who head to the sheds, a whisker ahead thanks to tries from Fiku and Le Garac and 2 penalties from the boot of Ramos. Gatland's young side are right in this tussle though, trailing France by 17 points to 20.
Manchester City on the attack down the left flank with Alvarez. Alvarez then gives it back towards Bernardo Silva. Boos from the home fans, almost 60,000 of them inside the newly rebuilt Anfield. Foden now on the right for De Bruyne. De Bruyne's cross swirls across the 6-yard box but bounces down into the opposite full-back area. Then Nathan Ake joins in on the left flank. Here's Rodri, an angled ball high across the penalty area over the top of Gomez, doesn't reach De Bruyne, and it's behind for a goal kick. So these are the teams. Liverpool with Kelleher in goal in the continued absence of Alisson. Bradley at right back, then Jarell Kwanzaa with Van Dijk, Gomez at left back. In midfield, Endo. Szoboszlai is back in the starting lineup after his recent spell out with McAllister, and then Elliott, Nunez and Diaz the front line. So Gakpo, like Salah, on the substitutes bench. And Manchester City, no Diaz in the starting lineup as Nunez backheels the ball infield, but Manchester City with Stones have got that on the edge of the penalty area. It's played back to Ederson. Elliott on the chase, but he gets it onto his right foot, sends a pass for Foden to chase onto, and he's got there ahead of Gomez. Van Dijk comes across, Foden evades both of them, but then slips over. However, he's not lost it yet. He does in the end. When it's won by Endo, and then a foul by Walker on the halfway line, and a free kick to Liverpool after he upended Szoboszlai. So a free kick to Liverpool.
We're quite noticeably Manchester City tried to put a lot of pressure on Gomez right from the start. As you say, not a natural left back. That time he completely misread a simple ball over it. Well, I say simple ball, it's a brilliant ball over the top by Ederson. Completely misread it. Foden was away. But that's 3 times now they've got behind the left back area, Manchester City, of Liverpool. That would be concerning already for Liverpool.
Yeah, that's the area that we talked so much about once we had that confirmation of the team news. So Ederson in goal for Manchester City. Walker, Stones, Akanji and Ake at the back, with of course Stones stepping in alongside Rodri. Foden on the right, Alvarez on the left, De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva centrally, and Erling Haaland up front. Don't think I've mentioned his name yet, Erling Haaland, after this recent run that is on. He's always on a recent run, isn't he? 7 goals in his last 3 appearances as the ball is played back to Ederson, who passes it out and gives it away. No, he doesn't. Elliott was almost onto that. It was actually cleared by John Stones, who slid in against the Liverpool player. Liverpool played out towards the right-hand side. Bradley gets it down and goes back into his own half. So news from West Ham Burnley from Sohail Sahi.
It's West Ham 2 now, Burnley 2. John, Danny Ings against his former club has levelled things up. West Ham were 2-0 down. It's all levelled now here at the London Stadium, 2-2.
Well, that is a response that David Moyes and West Ham needed. 2-0 down at home to Burnley, as Manchester City play it back with Walker, who clears from the 6-yard box, and it's headed forward for Liverpool on the halfway line by Kwanzaa. Now McAllister beaten in the air by Stones, then Bradley jumps for it, then Elliott. Might have been a high foot, that's what the Liverpool fans thought from Bernardo Silva. He is tangling way down in front of us with Bradley, and Bradley wins the throw-in.
What about that noise from Bradley making a tackle? Very similar at Wembley. He made a tackle against Chelsea, and the Liverpool fans went wild. They love this young man. He rarely lets them down, although it did score an OG in the week though.
Yes, as Manchester City give it to Haaland. Now here he is, the big, blonde Norwegian. Passes it to his left to Alvarez. Alvarez approaching the penalty area. De Bruyne on the left, goes for goal, chips it across to the back post, and it's drifted beyond the far post. And Manchester City, what an opening that was. And De Bruyne couldn't find the pass.
I think he's caught in 2 minds. It's so unusual. I mean, he has a million ideas in his head most of the time anyway. But the dink was on over the goalkeeper, but he also thought he might put it to the back post where Foden was running in. And in the end, he did neither. He went between the two.
That was a real opening. And here they come again, City. De Bruyne, left foot shot. Oh, Kelleher makes the save and parries it away. Thought for a moment there it was going to slip through his gloves, but he got enough on it, just going down to his right. It must have had some wobble on it, that. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite wet out there. It's been raining quite a lot. It's got a lot of power in it. We were talking about space beforehand that Endo has to cover with Kevin De Bruyne. Well, there was acres of space for him to run into on this occasion, and he had a shot from about 20 yards out. Van Dijk was coming towards him. It was straight at the goalkeeper, but as many modern keepers do, don't worry about catching it on a slippery surface, just get it away any way you could, and that's what he did. He parried it wide.
Liverpool 0, Manchester City 0 on 5 Live, the Premier League, the big fixture. Not the title decider though, because Arsenal are currently top of the league after their dramatic win against Brentford. Oh, Foden's done exceptionally well. He's beaten Gomez. Foden with a cross to the back post, and Bradley made absolutely certain to turn it behind for a corner to Manchester City.
It's already problematic, isn't it, for Liverpool? Very much so. And it's not that Gomez is awful there, it's the fact that he's playing against not just one, but they're overloading there. Foden's beaten them all ends up on that occasion, but before that there was an overload of both De Bruyne and Foden against him. Klopp is going to have to do something about that.
Yeah, 0-0, but Manchester City with the corner. Alvarez right-footed into the 6-yard box. It's bounced away, half cleared away to the edge of the penalty area, and then swept away by Elliott. This is for Nunez to chase, but Nunez they shrugged off it.
And Bernardo Silva, brilliant defending Bernardo Silva.
Absolutely terrific there. Showing real strength for the little man against the Uruguayan Nunez in full flow.
John, I would suggest it was balance more than strength. He knew that he could keep his balance. He was going to lose that foot race. It was 1-1 against Nunez, but he made sure that he got his body in the way and just rolled him slightly.
Ball bounces out of play right next to Pep Guardiola. Conor Bradley I think might even have bumped bodies with Guardiola, but it's all very friendly, and there's actually a slap of hands I noticed between Guardiola and Bradley as Manchester City took the throw in, and it finds its way all the way back to Ederson. In the Women's FA Cup quarter-finals, if you missed it earlier, Chelsea through. They won 1-0 at Everton, and at half-time it's Tottenham 0, Manchester City 1. Liverpool 0, Manchester City 0 under these grey, rainy skies. And Manchester City with Akanji, and here is Rodri. Rodri finds Nunez in his space, so turns and gives it to Akanji, and then Foden lifts one over the top, first time from the right-hand side. It bounces through to Callaghan. Foden stands on the far side, arms in the air as if to say, come on, someone should be anticipating that.
Yes, he's doing that, but his manager won't be happy with him doing that. Actually, that wasn't a good ball at all. No one did run for it. There was too much on it there. And I'll tell you another thing, your teammates don't like it when you're putting your arms up like that and saying, why didn't you run for me? So a little bit less of that, Phil.
Yes. Very Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah, exactly. Players always notice it. It feels if there's so much going on, you wouldn't notice it. Trust me, you always notice it.
Rodri with an excellent ball out to the far side, passed it around Szoboszlai, and then it comes back to Rodri under pressure there. There was no space for him against McAllister with the gloves on, but he still managed to find the pass to Alvarez, who was very firmly challenged by Bradley. That's right out of the Conor Bradley playbook that we've seen from him so far in this young career of his. Just his 12th start for Liverpool, but goodness me, he's got almost a lifetime of experiences already. De Bruyne then tried to pass through the middle. That was intercepted, cut out by Jarell Kwanzaa, who's playing in the absence of Konate. Kwanzaa himself, his 18th start of the season. So, for various reasons, Jurgen Klopp has had to show confidence in the 21-year-old central defender. Don't think he'll have had too many qualms to play him in there with the absent Konate.
No, I think he's done very, very well. The problem they have got is actually in front of the centre-backs just now. I mean, we did talk about it beforehand, but Endo, he keeps on he doesn't know where to stick or twist, because if he goes and closes De Bruyne, then Silva just goes in the pocket, and vice versa. That's twice already in the game that Kevin De Bruyne has got that ball in the pocket. Once he had a shot and goal, and this occasion just a few seconds ago he almost took Haaland through. Again, another problematic area for Liverpool.
Bradley, as Liverpool attack towards the Kop end in the first half, they were turned around. Manchester City won the toss before the game, and a long pass from Van Dijk to Bradley takes that down brilliantly into the penalty area against Ake, plays it right across the face of goal. And sliding in, Nunez couldn't get a touch on the ball, but clattered into the post, and actually has stayed down. I think he was slowing by the time that he actually collided with the upright, but referee Michael Oliver's just checking on him, and he's going to be okay.
Looks a wee bit like a dead leg. He just come in there and really hit it quite hard. And once again, that's the first time Bradley's got the ball on the right-hand side there. He has put the perfect ball in there. Absolutely brilliant. He looks as if he's been playing there for 10 years, doesn't he?
Pat, the biggest compliment I can pay him, and I've said this about him before, is that actually he is doing exactly what Trent Alexander-Arnold does, and the way that he controlled that pass from Van Dijk, that could have been Alexander-Arnold easily.
I know, Dad, on top of that, I'm giving him a further compliment. He looks like an Andy Robertson with a right foot, just flies forward. So Liverpool need that, and he's not been affected. At the first opportunities get forward, and there is no lack of belief in the kid.
Yeah, mentioned the changing of the times with Guardiola and Klopp. So often these games, the biggest games, you would see Trent Alexander-Arnold on one side, Andy Robertson on the other. But one's injured, one's on the bench today. Liverpool 0, Manchester City 0. This is our 6th Premier League commentary of this weekend on 5 Live or Sports Extra. That's where Brighton Nottingham Forest is right now. What's the latest, Chris Temple?
It's just finished, John. Brighton 1, Nottingham Forest 0. The only goal came on the half hour. Gross's free kick going in off Forest defender Andrew Omibamidele. Forest better in the second half, couldn't find a goal. Brighton up 2 places to 8th. They've beaten Nottingham Forest 1-0.
Nunez with a cross from the right-hand side, right across the edge of the penalty area between Szoboszlai, actually, and Diaz. So therefore Liverpool have to regain possession, which they do. Here's Elliott on the right-hand side, left-footed ball curled into the box. Nunez turns in good form, shoots for goal, but the offside flag goes up against him, and it's a free kick to Manchester City, and it's still 0-0.
There are very few players in world football that you say this about, but he has a one-man forward line. He's everywhere, isn't he? He'll go right, he'll go left, he'll chase down. Defenders must have nightmares all the time. They can never switch off. He will just run into corners. On that occasion, he went to the right-hand side. The ball he played over there was a good ball. It was just a little bit unfortunate that his teammates weren't on the same level as him.
Yeah, he has scored in his last 4 Liverpool matches, Darwin Nunez. Here's Diaz on the left-hand side, bowling. Nunez actually had to readjust. It was at an awkward height. He had to stop in his tracks, try and stun-head it goalwards, and actually, as he fell backwards, just headed it harmlessly wide of the left post.
Well, he's had an all-action few minutes, hasn't he? Careering into the post there, nearly, he was only inches away from getting a goal at the back post, getting to the right-hand side, putting a cross in. On that occasion there, not his fault, the ball was just slightly behind him.
Yeah, he's Uruguayan, but he's like the Tasmanian devil. West Ham Burnley. Have West Ham salvaged a point, Sohail Sahi?
They have, John. It's finished West Ham 2, Burnley 2. They fought back from 2-0 down at half-time to scrape a point. Paqueta and Danny Ings with the stoppage time equaliser, denying Burnley all 3 points. Full-time here, John. West Ham 2, Burnley 2.
Yep, so we'll hear from David Moyes later, and quite possibly Vincent Kompany as well, who I guess will have his senses pointing in this direction at some point today. Earlier in the Championship finished Huddersfield 1, West Brom 4 and Bristol City 1, Swansea City 0. Still Celtic 2, Livingston 2 in the Scottish Cup quarter-final. Hibs Rangers later, 5:30 kick-off. 0-0 here at Anfield. Kevin De Bruyne turns, low pass to Foden. Foden against Gomez, comes inside him, shoots left-footed, that's blocked, comes out to Alvarez, he beats the challenge of McAllister. It runs to Foden inside the penalty area, but then cleared away by Kwanzaa, who is able to take it off the toe of Phil Foden. And Liverpool, Manchester City threatening when they come forward, but Liverpool now on the attack. And then a challenge by Walker and Szoboszlai on the halfway line, which is given us a free kick by Michael Oliver, but they are absolutely baying in the stands here for a yellow card for the Manchester City captain.
He's unbelievably lucky not to get a yellow card there. He knew what he was doing. If he didn't get a ball there, he had to take the player, because if that ball was played around the corner, I think it was Diaz, he was on his own completely, going in the left-hand side, and he would have been in and goal. He knew what he was doing there, Walker. Clever, but fortunate. That probably should have been a yellow card.
Yeah, it was just a warning from Michael Oliver, refereeing this fixture for the 7th time. He was the referee when Manchester City won 4-1 here during the COVID years. And it does, having heard some of the commentary back over the course of the last few days on that match, it just reminds you just how clinical the whole thing was when there was not a crowd. Here is Elliott now in field, and then forward from McAllister to Nunez, who squares it to Diaz, but the offside flag goes up against Nunez, and the goal will not stand.
Well, they'll check it, but I don't think they need to.
I think he was off.
3 of us here in a row there, all agreeing that it was offside by a good yard or so. They will check it, you always have to. But Liverpool did the right thing there. They finished it off, they made sure that Nunez played it into the middle. We're just seeing a little bit of a replay of it here. Yeah, look, Man City knew exactly what they were doing.
Yeah, I think we're fairly confident that the decision will stand, and it will remain Liverpool 0, Manchester City 0 on 5 Live in the World Service, and as well, if you're on the move, on Mothering Sunday on BBC Sounds. Although whether that's politic or not, to listen to this on Mothering Sunday. Of course, Mother might be very much into the events that are taking place here at Anfield, as Ake plays it back towards the edge of the 6-yard box, passing it out, and Rodri has given it away. Diaz is onto this. Szoboszlai back to Diaz on his right foot, tries to turn on the edge of the area. In comes the challenge. McAllister with a shot, that's deflected. It hits Ake. Optimistic souls are shouting for a penalty for handball after that, and Liverpool win it back on the halfway line.
And what about the noise? They were under the cosh a little bit there at the start of the game, Liverpool, but they'll always come out, they'll always have a goal, they'll never be cowed there, and they really have come back into this game. There's nothing in it between the two now.
Kelleher's clearances gifted possession back to Manchester City, but Conor Bradley has made sure that he's dispossessed Bernardo Silva, but then he's playing the ball down the line. He's given it to Ake. John Stones, very advanced, of course. Rodri, now back to Walker. The boos for Kyle Walker after that challenge on Szoboszlai. And Manchester City, as they do, in this cacophonous atmosphere here, calmly keeping possession and passing it around. And here's a ball for Bernardo Silva, who's still on the left wing. Bernardo Silva takes it into the full-back position, and then with great composure with his left foot passes it to Ake, and then Ake's ball back to Bernardo Silva, who knew he was in an offside position. And then eventually the flag does come along. Not sure Bernardo Silva actually touched the ball.
I don't know if he was in an offside position anyway. I think maybe in the centre field there was a possibility that there was another player. Alvarez probably was offside, but Bernardo Silva stopped it. I don't think he needed to. The one atmosphere is great, and the Liverpool fans, they are playing their part. You know, keep on saying how important the home fans are in a game like this. Well, they know that, and the noise they're making has been incredible.
It has. Here's McAllister, but loses out, dispossessed centre field. So Kevin De Bruyne indoors into the challenge with him. De Bruyne then gives it to Alvarez, looking for the pass, the return pass to De Bruyne into the area, but Quanta arrives on the scene and just turns and passes it out of play, and then gets a little tap of the hand from Virgil van Dijk, his central defensive partner. Liverpool 0, Manchester City 0. Wales-France is now on Sports Extra. If you're trying to keep across everything this afternoon, that's where you'll find the commentary on today's Six Nations match after yesterday's drama. We're going to go there in a moment, back to Cardiff when we get a chance, but Manchester City are in possession inside the Liverpool half. Rodri goes for that right-footed ball out towards man of the moment, Foden, rested in the Champions League in midweek. He's up against Joe Gomez. They might well be in the England squad together next week. Foden plays it infield. Rodri square here to Ake. Ake is closed down by Liverpool's Harvey Elliott. Rodri still in possession, a left-footed pass this time out to the right-hand side. Brilliant close control from Foden, who looked across, but it was blocked by Gomez. A little win for Gomez there, throwing to Manchester City. Well,
it's only a small win because beforehand he was caught out again. It's very noticeable that Liverpool's best period is when they made sure the ball didn't go round the right to Foden. A couple of times it's gone down the left, doesn't look so dangerous there. Certainly Conor Bradley's doing very well defensively, but Foden, he's still, every time you get the ball, you think something's going to happen.
Liverpool 0, Manchester City 0. Now it's on the left-hand side after that throw-in. Bernardo Silva, left-footed ball chipped across to the back post, and Van Dijk underneath it. Knew that Haaland was behind him and judged that brilliantly, didn't he? And just at the last moment, up went the head to head it beyond the far post from Van Dijk.
I'm really happy you see the importance of that, and the fact that looks simple. It's not. He has to time it right. He has to be in the right place. He can't get too close to Haaland there, and also you need to be calm enough to head it over. Brilliant play by Van Dijk.
Erling Haaland was lost on both of his visits to Anfield. Corner to Manchester City into the near post. Stones has got the contact on that, and he's forced it into the net. Callaghan to near post. He was only a couple of yards out, but Stones has turned it in, and Manchester City have the lead at Anfield, and they're able to celebrate in front of their joyous fans at the Anfield Road end of the ground. It's come from a corner. Liverpool, their players are looking at one another, but the scoreline is Liverpool 0, Manchester City 1.
The importance of set pieces this season, absolutely incredible for all the top teams. They've been usually in the air, they've been superb. However, this one, a very rarely played type of corner kick. Everyone runs out, defenders run out with them, but they know they've set it up on the training ground. They've made sure that there's a gap. I can just see Ake doing exactly the same thing, pushing his marker out. That is deliberate. It's played low, almost along the line. They knew what they were doing, and at the front post, fabulously put in there by Stones. What brilliant thinking by the technical coach who came up with that.
What, a couple of yards out, he got away from Nunez, John Stones, as Kevin De Bruyne just curled it in low to the near post. Yeah, that without question, that has been worked on.
100%. The giveaway, apart from anything else, Kevin De Bruyne has simply passed it, zipped it along the ground, but also the block from Ake, brilliant.
Liverpool 0, Manchester City 1. Liverpool unbeaten here at Anfield against all comers for almost a year. 29 matches in all competitions. They've won 25 of them out of 29. in all competitions. But here they are, 1-0 down, and they've got to come from behind after John Stones scores his first goal of the season. He was on his own, he got away from Nunez. As you said, Pat, Nevin, Ake made sure that the space was there for him, and he just had to force it past Kelleher from a couple of yards out, which he did.
There's so many clever things about that. You know, it's such an unusual corner to do. You must have worked in the fact that Liverpool only leave one player at the front post there so he can be got at. But the really clever bit is the fact that you've not put Haaland in the position to score the goal because they'd be more aware of it. It's John Stones, so they're a little bit relaxed about it, and he's the one that goes and taps it in at the near post.
How terribly cunning.
Yes, very cunning.
So 1-0 to Manchester City, and that very much is a win, isn't it, for Pep Guardiola and his coaches against Jurgen Klopp and his. But here is Nunez, who gets away, and Diaz is in space on the edge of the penalty area. Rodri chasing him. They've got players on him now, but Diaz plays it across. It comes off Stones, and then Ederson goes down at the feet of Nunez, and the offside flag is up against Nunez. Free kick, Manchester City.
It seemed to come off a blue shirt. I didn't know if it would be offside there. They were doing a tight one. Would have played on it, had landed in the net. That would have been a good one to look at in VAR. However, didn't land in the net. Game plays on.
Liverpool 0, Manchester City 1. What is happening in Cardiff? Claire Thomas.
What isn't happening in Cardiff? This game is being played at a pace which the visitors would call incroyable. 23-year-old Joe Roberts has just put Wales back in front on his second cap, bringing the daffodil-clad masses to their feet. Half an hour to play. This one has been breathless. It's Wales 24, France 20.
So 24-20. Another dramatic Six Nations match after yesterday's events. By the way, if you were at Twickenham yesterday, you want to hear again how it sounded on 5 Live, which is well worth listening to. You can go back and listen again via BBC Sounds if you go into the 5 Live schedule and go back to that time yesterday afternoon. I must say, Arsenal-Brentford was a thriller as well, if you were at that match. And Arsenal's win, their 8th in a row, means that they are currently top of the Premier League, but with this scoreline, Manchester City will be top tonight. Here's Diaz, though, trying to do something about it, into the penalty area against Walker, who recovers well, and then it's cleared away by Foden on the edge of the box. Well, more than cleared away, he's found the pass to Alvarez, and then Alvarez very nearly found the run of De Bruyne, had it not been for sliding Van Dijk. Absolutely crucial. Liverpool come forward again. I suspect, Pat, there are more goals in this match. McAllister into the ball on the edge of the D to Diaz, bounces away. Manchester City are able to clear, and then there is a foul on Bernardo Silva and a free kick to Manchester City.
Well, I will promise you one thing, more chances. There'll be plenty more chances in this game, because so many creative players out there have been played at such a pace, and it's so open as well. Going back again to that Van Dijk moment, there's been ups and downs for Van Dijk last couple of seasons after his injury. I would argue he's stopped 2 goals in his own today. That header over the crossbar when Haaland was ready to put it in, also there. That ball through, he had to stretch every sinew to get a toe on it, and he cut it out. Otherwise, City were through 1-1.
So, we have an unlikely goal scorer, John Stones, the Barnsley Beckenbauer, in the 6-yard box with his right foot, forcing the ball in after that brilliantly worked set piece, the Manchester City corner. And I did notice, actually, when we saw it on our little television screen here, Pep Guardiola, part of his reaction was actually turning and pointing to one of his coaches, whoever it was who came up with that.
Exactly. You can tell a mile away when it happens. I actually watched one of the match of the day last night. I can't remember which one it is, but when it works, the coach, you just turn straight to him and say, "Got you."
Yeah. Set-piece coaches, they're all the rage, aren't they, this season?
I'm really surprised it's taken so long for him to catch on, because, all you need is that set-piece coach to get you 3 or 4 goals, might get you 3 or 4 points, to make all the difference in the season.
Well, remember, Liverpool had the throwing coach, didn't they, for a period of time that was scoffed at initially, but marginal gains and all that. Here is Endo winning the ball against De Bruyne. Applause for that. Stuck his backside into him and turned and kept possession for Liverpool. 1-0 down here, Liverpool. But of course, Liverpool always a threat as they come forward. Salah is on the bench, so we might see him in the latter stages. Jurgen Klopp saying before the game it was never a possibility that he would start this match, having only just come back. came on as a substitute in Prague on Thursday night. Liverpool, who won that match. Liverpool have won 7 in a row in all competitions, including the cup final, and of course have actually won all but one of their games since Jurgen Klopp's announcement in January that this would be his final season. Liverpool with Kwanzaa in the centre circle. The crowd again trying to do their bit. Noise raining down from the four sides of the stadium. Kelleher out of his penalty area passes the ball to Van Dijk in the turquoise boots. Endo's dropped right into the middle of the two central defenders. Then the pass to Elliott, who drops into his own half. Now McAllister with the black gloves on this cold afternoon. A reminder that there's a long way to go in this Premier League season. Although in saying that, 10 matches to play after this. Elliott scampers towards the edge of the penalty area, plays it square. Gomez. Now here is Diaz on the left-hand side. Luis Diaz back to Gomez. Right-footed ball across field. Bradley backs away in the full-back position, chests it down, gives it to his left to Elliott, just outside the box. Curling in. Header! Just over from the arriving Szoboszlai, who had to adjust. He had to twist in the air almost, and from 6-7 yards out could only head it over.
Not dissimilar to the Núñez chance a little bit earlier, coming from the other side, but the ball was slightly behind them there and trying to get any pace on it and switch it into the net. Really, really tough that, but once again, good positions for Liverpool.
Just an announcement at the moment inside the stadium. I'm not sure what that is about. Just conscious of that because there is this ill feeling, isn't there, between Manchester City and Liverpool fans, because they are such close rivals and have been the teams that have won the title in each of the last 6 seasons, although slightly imbalanced, of course, in Manchester City's favour. 5-1. Here's Szoboszlai just outside the area. Szoboszlai then lifts a pass here to the right-hand side to Bradley. Bradley now back to McAllister, 30 yards out towards the right-hand side here. And then Bradley again just rolls his foot over the ball, goes back to the halfway line again to Kwanzaa. So Liverpool changed the point of attack over to the left flank. Gomez receives that. Sky blue on either side of him. Might have been fouled by Haaland. No. Michael Oliver says no, and Haaland passes it to Foden. Quickly challenged by Endo. And then Diaz is there to take the ball away from the Manchester City right-sided midfielder Foden. Gomez carrying it on into the Liverpool half, deflected out of play for a throw to Liverpool inside Manchester City territory. Back to Celtic, Livingston, Kenny Crawford.
87 minutes gone, John, and it looks like Celtic have got the goal which will take them into the semi-finals of the Scottish Cup. They lead Livingston 3-2. It was made and scored in Japan. Tomoki Owata, the ball across the 6-yard box for Daisen Maeda to complete his hat-trick. Celtic 3, Livingston 2.
Looks like Celtic going through with Aberdeen after that unexpected turn of events with Neil Warnock deciding that he's had enough after just a few weeks, having guided Aberdeen into the semi-finals. Liverpool playing it over the top towards the edge of the penalty area, looking for Szoboszlai, but Bernardo Silva and Walker dealt with that. Kevin De Bruyne, and then Foden tried to win a throw in, but it's actually bounced infield. Núñez turns it centrally, but there's only Alvarez there for Manchester City, who dwelt on the ball. He's been dispossessed. Bradley with a shot, but that was deflected. Ake was there in front of him, and the ball bounced, took the pace off it, and Ederson was able to move quickly to his left and grab it.
It's been a good wee period again. Well, since the goal, Liverpool have upped it a little bit. They pushed a little bit higher up the field. I thought that was their danger, when they push on and leave a gap for De Bruyne to get the ball in the middle. In the last 3 or 4 minutes, they haven't got that. And it's looked a little bit better for Liverpool.
5 Live in the World Service. You'll be able to talk about this and all of today's matches with Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton on 6:06 once we have wrapped things up here at Anfield. Bernardo Silva passes the ball into the path of Foden. Foden is absolutely alive and buzzing and passing the ball to Haaland, edge of the penalty area. Haaland, and then in comes Van Dijk to stab the ball away. It was Kwanzaa who went with Haaland, but Van Dijk on the recovering run stabbed it behind for a corner.
Well, a couple of great things there. Foden got the ball. He knew the right thing to do was to try and find Haaland, and because he trusts his touch, he zipped it into him, controlled it brilliantly. But once again, the reading of Van Dijk, magnificent. 3 brilliant pieces of defending from him so far.
Now, having scored from the last corner, Manchester City, which was taken by De Bruyne, actually it's Foden who's taking this one, left-footed, in it swings towards the back post, stretching a header away by Kwanzaa. Still Manchester City in possession, though. It's played back towards Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva, high left-footed pass. Gomez just got his head to it with Foden behind him, so therefore deflected out for a throw into Manchester City, 10 yards back from the corner flag. We've got only got 10 minutes to go to half-time, Paul.
Yes, it's absolutely flown by. You see that ball that we've just played there, trying to play it over the defender Gomez's head, and there's a reason why players always do that about someone who's not a natural fullback. You just need to get possession 2 or 3 yards off, but it feels like a huge area.
Manchester City take this throw. De Bruyne passes it straight out of play, and it's a throw into Liverpool deep inside their own territory. So 1-0 Manchester City have the lead. Manchester City, who've won here at Anfield twice since 1981. Mind you, to say that covers an awful lot of Manchester City history. Here's De Bruyne moving in from the right, a left-footed shot which bounces wide via a deflection. Callagher dropping down to his right, but it was deflected wide, so it's a corner from the left this time.
I was going to say it would worry Liverpool, it would worry any team on the planet if Kevin De Bruyne has managed to get the ball inside the D, off the midfield, and only defenders in front of him, and now on 4 occasions. You can't do that with Kevin De Bruyne. He's far too good. Eventually he will put one in the corner.
Yeah, so it's Kevin De Bruyne who's going to take it from the left-hand side, so this will be an in-swinger. Liverpool defending and heading it away to Foden, who just allowed the ball to run as Diaz came across him. So Bernardo Silva with the outside of his foot. Here's the goal scorer, Stones, not Beckenbauer, as it's deflected out of play down the right-hand side. Well, I must say that after the recent death of the great man, it is a nickname that I particularly like.
It's fabulous, absolutely fabulous.
Throw in for Manchester City, halfway inside the Liverpool half, that Kyle Walker waits to take, and is urged to get on with it, which he eventually does, taking the throw to Alvarez down near the corner flag, and is forced to concede a throw-in just in that corner of the ground between the Sir Kenny Dalglish stand and the now massive Anfield Road end, the 2 tiers there. Manchester City supporters enjoying what they've seen so far. Possession-wise, I'm guessing that slightly Manchester City.
I would say it looks that
having
way,
more of it,
and certainly more time played in Liverpool's half. But you're talking about they're enjoying it. The Man City fans, the Liverpool fans, they won't like being down, but there's no suggestion that they're disappointed in any way with the way their teams play, and neither they shouldn't be. They haven't played badly.
And it is 56% Liverpool, 44% Manchester City.
That's why I added the caveat, where the ball was being played. Yes. What you want is good possession. It's all very well having possession back in your own half. You want good possession in the final third.
As Alvarez heads it forward, but into the path of Endo. Szoboszlai, back to Endo, and then up to Nunez. Nunez turns, middle of the half, sets off, gives it to Szoboszlai. Nice touch from him. It's flicked to Elliott. Right foot shot, but quickly charged down. Well charged down, actually. Alvarez back in there. Then the cross from Bradley, headed away by Akanji in the middle. Got enough on that to deflect it out to the far side. Liverpool, though, threatening. Szoboszlai, some of his touches have been delightful. Elliott then is challenged. Manchester City break. It's played by De Bruyne through to Haaland. Haaland's running at Van Dijk, still going. Van Dijk staying with him. Then the shot straight at goalkeeper Callagher, who's able to pat it down in front of his face.
Wasn't there just a lovely moment there where you saw 2 of the best in the business, one-on-one, man-on-man, and you think, I'm going to enjoy the next 5 seconds here. And eventually Van Dijk just done enough to slow him down a bit. And he ran out of legs in the end. Haaland never got enough power in a shot, but he did get a shot away.
Had the feel that, did it not, of a potentially pivotal moment. As De Bruyne did exceptionally well, actually, to get the challenge in, to send it forward to Haaland. John Stones felt that he was fouled centre field, and he might have had a case as well. Liverpool come forward, though. Michael Oliver said not. Gomez just bringing it infield and playing it back into the centre circle. Yeah, Van Dijk did enough there, didn't he?
He just slowed him down, put him in a dangerous area. You don't always have to win the ball. You just have to make sure that the attacker is not fully on balance as he hits it. And that time Haaland couldn't do it.
I'm sure that will very much be in the highlights tonight on Match of the Day too. Ball played forward for Liverpool, but Ederson's very quickly out, as he likes to, and grabs the ball just in front of Darwin Núñez.
And had he timed that a half a second wrong, it would have been an absolute nightmare for him, but brilliantly timed.
Rodri passes it to Alvarez, who's on the left-hand side. Alvarez turns inside Bradley, but then just flicks it back to Bernardo Silva, who is behind him. Manchester City on their 3-month unbeaten run of their own, and they've won all but 2 matches that they've played over the course of the last 3 months as well. Bradley just getting in there, and then Elliott playing it forward for Núñez, who's tangling with Akanji. Both stay on their feet. Akanji gets there first, passes it to Ederson, out from Ederson to Stones, and the Manchester City goal scorer is able to turn and then pass it to Ake, who had an important part in the goal from the corner. Alvarez now well challenged by Bradley, who tackles it out of play on the halfway line.
I don't think Alvarez fancies it against Bradley. He gets the ball. He needs to go and run and try and get by him a couple of times, because Bradley's kind of generally had him in his pocket most of the game so far.
Yeah, that's the one area where Manchester City have their current injuries. It's Liverpool win it, played forward to Szoboszlai. Now here's Diaz, but Diaz runs into congestion. However, he's still going. Oh, and he shoots just wide, right-footed from the D, with Ederson diving to his right. That was only narrowly wide. Yeah,
it was very close. And just again, Liverpool have grown and grown. Yeah, they lost a goal. They had to do something. Remember, they are facing the Kop now, and at the end of the first half almost feels like an end of a game for them. They're getting good possession, they're getting in dangerous areas. They're asking a lot of questions now of this Manchester City side, and that was maybe the best question they've asked so far.
Luis Diaz, who's scored in his last 3 home Premier League matches, and our television screen tells us that flashed so close to the left post as he looked at it. And here he is again, the number 7, the Colombian, the wiry, curly-haired Luis Diaz, battling for the ball with Foden, and battling illegally with Foden, and conceding a free kick for the visitors. So Manchester City will take a moment to get themselves organised. A late goal, another late goal, Kenny Crawford.
Yes, and full time, John. It's finished Celtic 4, Livingston 2. Kyogo, another Japan international, was put clean through, and he put it nicely into the bottom corner. Initially it was flagged for offside, but VAR overturned that. So Celtic through to the semi-finals. A Daisen Maeda hat-trick, and Kyogo, they're into the last 4 of the Scottish Cup.
So a hat-trick for Maeda. Celtic through with Aberdeen. Hibs Rangers from 5:30. As Manchester City come forward with the ball again after taking that free kick near the halfway line. We're going to go to Cardiff again in a moment, but you can hear that match, the Wales-France game, on Sports Extra. Rodri back to Walker on the halfway line. Walker just pulls it back, slips it forward to Rodri again. Rodri to Ake, now Bernardo Silva. Here's one for Alvarez. Kwanzaa has come out to go with the Argentine, who comes in field. McAllister with a challenge. Now Elliott, heavy touch from him. Ake wins it back, and Manchester City in possession again with Rodri. Seems like a magnet, doesn't he, Rodri, with that number 16 on his back. The ball always seems to find its way to him in the central area, and Manchester City go back into their own half, and then Rodri makes himself available and receives it, and then De Bruyne. Rodri slipped the pass between 2 Liverpool men, and then De Bruyne couldn't find the right ball on this occasion. Oh, Haaland is in to dispossess Van Dijk, 25 yards out. He passes it to Alvarez. Alvarez trying to find a shooting position on his right foot, which he does, but curls it over the angle of post and bar by a couple of feet or so. But Haaland stealing the ball from Van Dijk.
And just a moment before Van Dijk had another one of his brilliant little cutouts. The ball was played through, but he just timed it right and got the ball. But he was so relaxed to get caught on the ball. But about a minute before that, the closing down, the work rate from Liverpool was extraordinary. I kept on thinking, you can't keep that up. Eventually they got played through, and that's why they got that half a chance, Manchester City. But to keep on doing that for the entirety of the game is going to be hard. But I think that's the only way Liverpool are going to win this. Get back.
Szoboszlai in on the challenge on Foden. Gomez, long pass from him, headed away from Ake, who was jumping with Elliott. McAllister then in on the challenge from his Argentine teammate Alvarez. Manchester City clear through Ake, who wins the throw-in off Elliott, actually halfway inside his own half. So back to the Six Nations, back to Cardiff. Claire Thomas.
To call this game a roller coaster would be doing it a disservice. France have hit the front again, our fifth change of lead. Ramos's boot had narrowed the gap to one before a blistering Pano break saw them straight back into the Welsh 22, where debutant Georges-Henri Colombe exploded over the whitewash. It is Wales 24, France 30 with 15 minutes left.
15 minutes left. It's on Sports Extra. This is on 5 Live and the World Service. And Manchester City still lead 1-0. And that is excellent from Walker, who nips the ball away and speeds down the right into the area. And Walker's ball across the 6-yard box. The arriving De Bruyne couldn't get a touch, sliding in, and it's all the way through for a throw-in.
Now, brilliant play by Walker. He flew up that wing there, got himself into the corner. He had two options. There was a cut back. Haaland was there. He was easy to tap in there, but he didn't choose that one. He chose it back close to De Bruyne. He only needed to pass it. He rifled it across, and that's why the ball wasn't put in the net.
That's Pat Nevin. It's Liverpool 0, Manchester City 1, and we're into 2 minutes of added time at the end of this dramatic and exciting first half. Just the one goal so far. That superbly worked corner for Manchester City, but here's Diaz as Liverpool attack towards the Kop for perhaps the last time in the first half. Szoboszlai receives it. Now Bradley's in. Bradley pulls it across, and it's controlled on the edge of the 6-yard box so coolly by Stones, who, even though he was under pressure from Elliott, managed to recover his composure and pass it away.
As again, within the space of 30 seconds, both sides scored a goal there, getting into dangerous position. Felt a little bit sorry for Conor Bradley there. The ball wouldn't get out of his feet quick enough for to have a shot. Put a good cross, they couldn't finish it.
Well, you were in Prague on Thursday night when we were providing the commentary on Liverpool's Europa League tie. You saw Salah for the last, I think, 15 minutes or so of that match. The big question at half-time is going to be...
Yeah, do you bring Salah on? It must be a temptation. It's been difficult for Elliott, actually. He's not really been as lively as he usually is.
Given away by Alvarez, then McAllister takes it on, and he is brought down by Rodri, who is shown the first yellow card of the match by Michael Oliver.
It's a classic Rodri tackle, isn't it? He knows the player's beyond him. He thinks, no, I'm going to make sure you're taken out. But that's quite early to get a yellow card, isn't it? He's kind of lunged in there a little bit. There's not a chance in the world he's going to get the ball there.
No, he knew the threat. So it's a free kick in the middle of the half. Rodri, who now almost famously has not lost in his last 60 appearances for Manchester City, 40 of them in the Premier League, although there is a slight caveat to that. But this free kick is struck from distance by Szoboszlai. He hit it very well, but Ederson was able to go down to his right and hold the ball comfortably. Got a good sight on it, the Manchester City goalkeeper.
Yeah, but exactly what you want to do from a free kick. It was a very long way out, so you want to do it, you zip it low, make it bounce right in front of the goalkeeper, and make sure you get players falling in. If he spills it, he didn't spill it. He didn't look like he was going to spill it into what has been a thrilling first half.
It has. The slight caveat, by the way, is that Rodri did start the Community Shield, which they lost on penalties. I suppose technically they didn't lose over the course of 90 minutes. But there we are, 1-0 Manchester City lead through that brilliantly worked corner in the 24th minute. John Stones the scorer. But so many thrilling moments for us to reflect on, Pat, in that first half.
The biggest surprise at the scoreline, only 1-0. Brilliant pieces of play, getting into great positions. The fact the two teams are absolutely desperate to get forward at every single opportunity. Sometimes you come to these games, they're built up so much, and they can be slow burns or not as exciting. This has been exactly the kind of game you wanted and expected it to be.
Yeah, built up so much, which it certainly has been. And I noticed the television cameras focusing in on Trent Alexander-Arnold just as the players left the field and headed down the tunnel. So it is at half-time here at Anfield. Liverpool 0, Manchester City 1. And Steve Crossman is with us here, sitting high up in the main stand.
So many fascinating things, Pat Nevin, about that first half. The first thing that occurred to me just sitting here watching it next to you and John Murray is that it's been 100 miles an hour for the entirety of the half. Liverpool have actually had a bit more of the ball. Pep Guardiola loves control in games. Jurgen Klopp loves the intensity and the speed and the winning the ball high up the pitch. It's been a Liverpool first half more than a City first half, but it's City that lead.
Honestly, I would put it closer to 50-50. I know that maybe the statistics will tell you a little bit more possession, but it's where you get possession. And quite a few times Man City, particularly on the right hand side, have got in very dangerous areas. But to call it any more than an incredibly close game, you'd be pushing it really. And the two different sides, interesting what you say about controlling. Yeah, Manchester City want to control games, and they usually do. No, they're not controlling this one, absolutely not. You could not make that argument at all. But when you watch Liverpool here facing the Kop, they almost always control it, don't they? Because if it's the second half, they're pushing on to, they have most of the ball. And at the end of that first half, I'd agree with you, 15-20 minutes, you could see it, you could feel it was Liverpool shooting into the Kop, getting themselves into dangerous positions. I bet you they wish they were doing that in the second half, but they're not. They're not going into the Kop in the second half, and that might make a wee difference.
I bet you Kyle Walker wishes he could have that ball down the right-hand side again. He dropped, it was like the end of Platoon. He dropped to his knees in slow motion because he knows the pass was on, the chance was there for 2-0 just before half-time.
Right, for somebody who spent a bit of time in the right wing, okay, and you're running in there, and you've got one of the great centre-forwards who's just pulled back onto the penalty spot with nobody on him, and there's a gap between the centre-backs and the goalkeeper with Kevin De Bruyne standing at the back post. If you don't create a goal out of there, you're gutted. You know it's nobody else's fault, it's yours. And he just got carried away. He's lashed it across instead of passing the ball across there. I'll give him one excuse for it. He ran about 70 yards to get there at the pace that Kyle Walker runs it, which is quite quick. But, had that goal gone in 2-0, it would have been the classic mountain to climb for Liverpool. It didn't. 1-0, and Liverpool deserved to get away with that one.
And one of the great things about a game like this is every so often you realise we are witnessing a properly big moment here, and all of us here, everyone inside Anfield, when Haaland ran through, Haaland versus Van Dijk, who traditionally is so incredibly difficult to dribble past, we knew we were in that moment.
Yes, it was. And it only, you probably time it in the last 3 seconds or 4 seconds, but it was enough time to compute it, to get your head around it and go, oh yeah, I'm going to really like this. And it was. And to be fair, Van Dijk, I mean, there's a good argument he's been the man of the match in the game so far today. He's on the losing side at the moment, but he's cut out so many dangerous balls. He's positioned himself so brilliantly. He's stopped Haaland so far. But that's the problem with a centre-forward against a centre-half against a centre-forward. You can be brilliant for 96.5 minutes of a 97-minute game, and you can lose 2 goals in those other 30 seconds of play. And that's what he has to keep on doing, keeping Haaland as quiet as possible. It's difficult because I suspect the changes that will be made in the second half will be as interesting as the decisions that were made in the start of the first half. Salah, we will see at some point. Don't know if it will be the start of the second half, but we will see at some point. And I will not be surprised if I think Pep has to do something about his left-hand side. Alvarez is having no joy whatsoever. It's all coming down the right. It may well be that he has to adapt something on the left-hand side.
What a half. Over seemingly in a blink. Liverpool 0, Manchester City 1. What about that absolute thriller in the Six Nations at the Principality Stadium? Claire Thomas.
Well, we might have just witnessed the killer blow in Cardiff. France have their 4th through behemoth lock Romain Kalfi-Fanua and lead by 16 with 5 minutes remaining. Crucially, that is their bonus point try, which technically keeps their title hopes alive. Wales looking a little bit shell-shocked out there after what has been a 20-point salvo and trailing Labour by 24 points to 40.
Commentary of that available right now on 5 Sports Extra. Women's FA Cup, Tottenham versus Manchester City. Becky Ives.
Tottenham 0, Manchester City 1. Mary Fowler opening the scoring on 6 minutes for City. A low shot outside the box into the bottom corner in a half which they mainly controlled. Tottenham have upped their intensity in this second half. They've had chances but not found a way through yet. Bethany England just been introduced up front to try and find some inspiration, to force an equaliser, to force potentially extra time. Just under 15 minutes to go here. Tottenham 0, Man City 1.
Premier League full times: Aston Villa 0, Tottenham 4, Brighton 1, Nottingham Forest 0, West Ham 2, Burnley 2. Reaction, and then another half of football here from Anfield. If it's half as good as the last, we're in for a treat. Liverpool 0, Manchester City 1. Stuart Clarkson has the news.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Steve, thank you. Security sources in Egypt say the country is in contact with senior figures from Israel and Hamas in an effort to restart talks on a ceasefire during Ramadan. It was hoped a deal could be reached in time for the holy month, which begins this week. Tens of thousands of worshippers are expected at the Al-Aqsa Mosque in the Old City of Jerusalem, where Israel has tightened security. 33 serving and former Metropolitan Police officers who responded to the Grenfell Tower fire in 2017 are taking legal action against the force. They're pursuing civil claims for personal injury and losses. Scotland Yard says no settlement has been reached. Ukraine has insisted it will never surrender in its war against Russia after the Pope said it should have the courage to raise the white flag. The Vatican later clarified he'd used the term to indicate an end to hostilities rather than an outright surrender. Sussex Police says a 36-year-old woman has been arrested on suspicion of murder after a man died in a house fire in Brighton. The victim is 50. Emergency services were called to the property in the town this morning. And police say a man who was arrested after a car crashed into the gates of Buckingham Palace yesterday morning has been sectioned under the Mental Health Act. The man's been released on bail. Scotland Yard says the incident is not being treated as related to terrorism.
BBC 5 Live.
Every morning, Rick and I wake up with you on 5 Live Breakfast.
Good morning.
Hello.
The latest news.
Let's start then by talking about the government. Updates from the world of sport.
We got Alan with us now. Morning.
Good morning. Alan's live on the BBC.
And of course, we hear from you with In My Opinion.
I've just done the first long-haul flight of the season and people were taking their shoes and socks off. What is that about?
All that and a whole lot more.
5 Live Breakfast with Rachel Burden and Rick Edwards. Yeah, pretty much sums us up.
Listen weekdays from 6
on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. This is 5 Live Sport with Steve Crossman.
On 5 Live. Listen on BBC Sounds.
We're live at Anfield. Liverpool 0, Manchester City 1. Second half commentary on the way. Earlier, 10-man Aston Villa were beaten 4-0 by Tottenham Hotspur following a red card to John McGinn. That result means Spurs are now just 2 points behind Villa with a game in hand. Here's Unai Emery.
A bad day in the office, and the first half we compete very well. We control the game more defensively than offensively, but we had good transition to try to get something. We didn't do, but we didn't concede. Second half, the idea was the same and tried to do a little bit more in attack, but we conceded 2 goals so quick. And in that moment, we were trying to react so quick and as well with a lot of emotions, and the red card was completely finishing more or less the match, our possibilities.
The red card, what are your thoughts of that? Did you accept that it was a red card?
I think John McGinn is a very passionate when he's playing, and of course he at home he's feeling strong, he's feeling comfortable, and he's trying to move on. We were losing 2-0, and he did a fault, and maybe it could be a red card, but I think it's not usually one player doing it with bad intention.
Unai Emery. Burnley were denied all 3 points after a late equaliser and West Ham a 2-2 draw at the London Stadium. Burnley were 2-0 up through Fofana and a Mavropanos own goal. For West Ham, Paquetá and then Ings against his old club picked up the point. Here's Burnley boss Vincent Kompany with Guy Mowbray.
Well, Vincent, a whole load of emotions I would imagine going through your mind at the moment.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. You know, I have to try and flip it in my head where, you know, as much as the disappointment of that final goal conceded is, you know, it's at the forefront of your feelings. I think in the end, you know, the team fought really, really hard and we created ourselves chances. We were in the game for whatever 100 minutes plus, and yeah, it's unfortunate, but we'll have to master the same energy for the next game.
Where do the biggest regrets lie? Is it in not keeping West Ham out under such intense pressure, or is it in not taking the chances that you still created?
Yeah, I think both, but mainly the timing of the 2 goals we conceded. You can't put every goal in the back of the net. If that was the case, we wouldn't be where we are. So there were 2 very good goals for us, and the timing of the goals we conceded were, if you have to write down as bad a scenario as you could, those 2 goals fall in those 2 moments.
Burnley off the bottom of the Premier League table, then on goal difference, but they are 10 points behind 17th place Nottingham Forest. In the other Premier League game, Brighton beat Forest 1-0 after an own goal from Andrew Omababinelli in the first half. It takes Brighton up to 8th, a point behind West Ham. 08085 909 693. The lines are open for 606, which follows us here at Anfield with Chris Sutton and Robbie Savage. Robbie's with us. Afternoon, Rob.
Afternoon, Steve. How are you?
Yeah, really good, thank you. This is a really, really good game here. We always knew it was going to be really important. I suspect whatever happens in the next 45 minutes is going to dominate the phone lines, isn't it?
Certainly, as it stands, City top of the league. I think the 3rd different team to top the league this weekend if it stays the same. So the genius from Kevin De Bruyne, what a pass that is to Stones. It's such a clever corner routine. They've obviously highlighted it, and it's a brilliant goal. But Liverpool grew into the game, a couple of chances, no shots on target for Liverpool, which is a surprise. But it's been a brilliant game, and if City win this, that's the big question for 606.
I think we just lost Robbie a little bit there. Can you still hear me?
I can still hear you.
Oh, we got you now. We got you back. Yeah. What else do you want to get into, Robbie? Big day in the Premier League and lots going on elsewhere.
Yeah, just heard Vincent Kompany there, Burnley. I think Sheffield United and Burnley are down. But listen, it's going to be a great 606, Steve. Liverpool City fans, 08085 909 693.
Yeah, it'd be great if Robbie's internet holds up. 08085 909 693. Robbie and Chris will be with you once we're done here at Anfield. I'm sure Robbie's got a keen eye and ear on this as well, the Principality Stadium in the Six Nations. Claire Thomas.
Well, Thomas Ramos is lining up the final act of this enthralling encounter. Maxime Lucu has just gone over the replacement scrum half to add a 45th point to France's tally, but it's been a really revealing afternoon. Are they blue-black in business? Not quite, perhaps, but they've certainly rediscovered some of their snarl and learned that Nolan Le Garec could be the answer to their Antoine Dupont-shaped hole. Ramos just looking to slot this one now from the touchline. The flags stay down, so it is full time here. 24 points to 45. France keep their championship hopes alive, and Wales, well, they'll need to beat Italy next week if they're to swerve a wooden spoon.
Great stuff, Claire. Thank you very much. Elsewhere in the Championship, West Brom tighten their grip on a playoff spot with a 4-1 win over third bottom Huddersfield. Bristol City beat Swansea by 1-0. Tottenham versus Manchester City is ongoing in the Women's FA Cup. Spurs 0, Manchester City 1. 7 minutes to go. Chelsea's bid for a 4th straight Women's FA Cup. Still on track then. They beat Everton 1-0 with a Caterina Macario goal, scoring the winner. Holders Celtic are into the Scottish Cup semi-finals after beating Livingston 3-2. They join Aberdeen in the last 4. Hibs Rangers in their quarter-final from 5:30. Gavin Wallace will be watching.
We are indeed, yeah. We're looking forward to this. Rangers, the cup winners on 34 occasions. Hibs have won it just 3 times, and that was the last time these two teams met, way back in 2016. The team news is Chris Cadden returns to the starting 11 for Hibs as Miller and Dylan Venti are out, and Rangers are unchanged from the team that drew 2 each in Benfica during the week, Steve.
Thank you, Gavin. Back here at Anfield, Liverpool 0, Manchester City 1. You may have heard a little roar in the background as the Liverpool players took to the field. They don't have an opposition at the moment. Manchester City either a little bit late, or Liverpool, Pat Nevin, a little bit early. The one thing we can say is it's the same 11 that finished the first half.
Yeah, and watching Mo Salah warming up-ish at half-time. He wasn't sprinting like a player that's going to come on the next 5 minutes or so, but we shall see if that is the case. But Liverpool sent the team out. They finished the half well, so there's no reason why you shouldn't give them another 10 or 15 minutes before maybe bringing that man on.
Liverpool started the weekend top of the Premier League. Arsenal went top on Saturday night. Manchester City on course to go top on Sunday night. but a big 45 minutes to go. Second half commentary from here then at Anfield with Pat Nevin and correspondent John Murray.
Yes, Manchester City to kick off the second half, leading through the John Stones goal. They also are as they were at the start of the match. So Liverpool with Kelleher in goal, Bradley, Kwanzaa, Van Dijk and Gomez. Then Endo with Szoboszlai and McAllister either side of him. Elliott and Diaz in the wide areas. Darwin Núñez as the number 9, and Salah among the substitutes and waiting to come on at some stage. Michael Oliver blows the whistle and Manchester City get the second half underway as they attack in this second period towards the Kop, and Kevin De Bruyne holding the ball up against Endo and is adjudged to have been fouled. So it's a free kick to Manchester City, who have Ederson in goal. Walker, Stones, Akanji and Ake are there. Back four, but Stones very much into the midfield alongside Rodri, with De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva centrally, Foden on the right, Alvarez on the left, and Haaland up front. One marvellous moment in the first half where Haaland and Van Dijk were up against one another, and it ended with Haaland shooting straight at Kelleher. But here is Gomez chosen ahead of Andy Robertson, and then McAllister chips it forward, headed back for City by Akanji. Then McAllister with a pass to Szoboszlai, who finds Rodri in front of him, and Rodri is able to find Foden, who goes down under a double challenge from McAllister and Gomez. Had a look towards Michael Oliver, but no free kick, and Liverpool start again from halfway inside their own half with Kwanzaa. The 21-year-old tries to roll the ball forward for the run down the right of Bradley, but it's passed back. Ederson's low! Ederson's taken out Núñez! That's a penalty! It could only be a penalty! Núñez with a crucial touch just as Ederson arrived to kick it away, and all he did was upend Darwin Núñez. Liverpool with a chance to equalise from the penalty spot, and it's a yellow card. They wanted a red card for the Manchester City goalkeeper, but Michael Oliver just yellow.
Yeah, we're just going to yellow for that. I understand that. It looks vicious because Núñez goes so far up there. I'm not blaming the goalkeeper at all. He's partially to blame, but the blame is all about the ball by Ake. Far too slow, passed it back, far too relaxed, and he wipes out, absolutely wipes out Darwin Núñez in front of those fans down there. And what a start we have to this second period.
Well, no more Salah to take the penalty. You were in Prague on Thursday. It was McAllister who took the penalty there. Van Dijk is very much involved in the discussions here, and Harvey Elliott and Szoboszlai are the two Liverpool players who are closest to the penalty spot. They're guarding the penalty spot as they do.
And surely there can only be one discussion that he's having with the referee there. He must be saying, should he not be off the pitch?
Yeah.
Was that dangerous? Was it that completely uncontrolled? You know, he wasn't trying to hit Núñez, he was trying to clear the ball, but he missed it completely, and he seemed to wipe him out. He went so high in the air.
I mean, he kicked him over as Darwin Núñez was sent absolutely sprawling. He's okay, and actually Ederson is now having to receive some treatment. So this is piling on the pressure before Liverpool take the penalty, and so a stoppage continues because Ederson is receiving treatment to the leg that he kicked Darwin Núñez over with to concede the penalty.
Now, I've watched it a few times. Ederson will be more hurt. He will be. I know it sounds odd that the person who's doing the kicking, dare I say the kicky, the person doing the kicking actually gets it worse. Pat, because of the part of the foot that he kicked on.
Pat, it is going to be McAllister to take the penalty because he's got the ball underneath his arm and he's just wandering away on his own on the left-hand side of the penalty area, and Szoboszlai and Elliott are the penalty spot guards.
Yeah, I know, and Walker, I've seen about 6 times he's tried to walk in to do something to the penalty spot. And of course we did see last night, was it Dom Solanke? He slipped as it went in and the ball just flew miles away over the crossbar.
Right, Ederson's received his treatment, and Van Dijk is still wandering around near the penalty spot. So is Kyle Walker, and eventually McAllister is called across. Well, he's had
It's a lot of pressure.
He's had a lot of time to think about this.
And it's into the Man City fans, John.
Everyone knows the importance of this. Manchester City lead 1-0. Liverpool coming into the weekend at the top of the table. And now Alexis McAllister stands behind and to the left of the ball. Ederson on the goal line. This to make it 1-1 in the big match in the Premier League. McAllister right-footed, high above the dive of Ederson and into the back of the Manchester City net. And listen to the reaction from inside Anfield to a scoreline now of Liverpool 1, Manchester City 1.
You have to underline at this point in time how much pressure was on McAllister there. It was such a long wait. He's got City fans right behind the goal there. He's against one of the top goal kickers. He knows the importance of that penalty kick. And he lashed into the corner with such pace. Again, it's an overused phrase. That was unstoppable with that pace into the side netting. Brilliant penalty.
Yeah, hit with power, with good height as well, above any goalkeeper's dive. And so it's back all square. And Liverpool will be mighty relieved to get back in the match so early in the second period.
Yeah, it really does help. But I mean, we mentioned together, as I mentioned to Steve at half-time, that they finished the half very well. I thought the last 20 minutes, they've just carried it on.
Here they come again. Diaz now. Akanji's gone with him. Forced Diaz out towards the right-hand side. Bradley is there. And back it goes towards the halfway line, where Liverpool can start again. So 1-1 the score. Let's get the latest on the outstanding Women's FA Cup quarter-final of the day. Tottenham, Manchester City. Becky Ives.
And Tottenham have equalised in the 6th minute of added time to force extra time in this tie. It was a horrible defensive mix-up at the back for Manchester City, and Bethany England found herself one-on-one in space, put the ball in the back of the net. We go to extra time. Tottenham 1, Man City 1.
It's extra time to come. Liverpool 1, Manchester City 1. There is a red smoke bomb that's gone off somewhere up in the right up in the gods in the Kop, out of our sight. So there is red smoke drifting out from underneath the roof down there. And this noise gathers in intensity as it comes out of the Kop and then is matched all around the stadium. Apart from that section down there at the Anfield Road end with the Manchester City fans, as Ake heads the ball out of play on the halfway line. It was Ake's pass, as Pat Nevin said, that was a little short. That led to Ederson's conceding of the penalty that resulted in the equaliser, and it is 1-1. Liverpool with Szoboszlai, then back to Joe Gomez. There's it back towards the halfway line to Van Dijk, and now Kwanzaa playing in the absence of the injured Konate. Jarell Kwanzaa, again, right-footed ball curled over the top for Nunez. Ederson will get to this first, and he's able to fall forward and grab the ball into his chest.
Yeah, I mean, they're talking about half-time about who was going to make the changes. You know, obviously you're looking at Salah, but the way the half ended, although one goal down, I still thought it was more likely that Manchester City would make the changes. However, they might have to make one now.
Ederson has actually sat down and now flopped down onto his back inside the penalty area, and therefore will need some more treatment. So it might well be that Stefan Ortega, who's seen plenty of game time, it must be said, this season, Manchester City's second choice goalkeeper, might well have to come on and play a part in this match. Pep Guardiola is standing down there, and yep, Ortega is being readied, and Pep Guardiola is pacing from one side of the coaching area to the other side. He's got his fist against his forehead. He's now rubbing his chin, and now he turns and he's clapping his hands and he's exhorting his players to respond to what we're hearing here.
Yeah, again, as I said, end of the first half, start of the second half, Liverpool have been on it all over the field, and the only way that they're going to get into this game, which I mentioned before, is quite simple. You need to keep up that. It is that heavy metal football. You have to keep chasing down, and I have to say it's working. And there's a little bit of tiredness looking at Manchester City team. I think Bernardo Silva's been very quiet today. Kevin De Bruyne has found himself in great positions, but he's not had the finishing touch on it. And Foden has slightly fallen out of the game after a brilliant start. So at this moment in time, all the questions have been asked of Manchester City.
The stretcher was marched onto the pitch. It got 3/4 of the way to Ederson and then stopped in its tracks because Ederson has got to his feet, but he's hobbling quite heavily and is having to leave the field. So Stefan Ortega comes on. I suspect he would have played anyway next weekend against Newcastle in the FA Cup next Saturday evening. That's a match you can hear on 5 Live. And then, by the way, after the next internationals, Manchester City's next match is against Arsenal, and then the one after that is against Aston Villa. So Ederson leaves the field. I mean, he's due to be involved for Brazil. He'll probably play against England with Alisson injured, so that could be him out of the internationals as well. And off he goes, off down the tunnel, and he's replaced by Ortega, and the score is 1-1.
Do you know what? The implications of those few seconds, as you say there, are fantastic. Not just for Manchester City, but possibly for the entirety of this chase to the end of the Championship to the end of the season. But Ortega, good goalkeeper himself, but I don't think goalkeeping's a problem at the moment. They're losing the battles now in the midfield.
Yeah, well, Ortega's played in all of the competitions this season, five different competitions. It's his 10th appearance. And we know, we've seen enough of him to know that he is more than an adequate replacement for Ederson. So 10 minutes gone in the second half. 5 Live in the World Service from the BBC. And Manchester City, Walker's dispossessed by Nunez, and now the ball actually runs into the path, hence the groans. Bernardo Silva, who's put under pressure as he drove the ball downfield. I think he's saying to Michael Oliver that he might have been caught late there. It's out of play for a throw, and then Bernardo Silva just bowls into McAllister, barges him off the ball, concedes a free kick. And if that's not a yellow card, I'd love to know why.
It's got to be a yellow card. They actually felt that they had a challenge earlier on the game. Remember, just about exactly the same position, and it was against Darwin Núñez. He got away with that one.
How has he not been booked for that?
Can I tell you the reason why? Because of who he is and the type of player he is. Certain other players in that position who are noted for fouling would have got a yellow card there.
That was retribution. Just seconds after he'd been fouled by McAllister, or felt he'd been fouled by McAllister, he set off to foul him. Oh, Manchester City win it back on the left-hand side, but Alvarez couldn't find the pass to Foden. It was cleared away. Fortunately, Liverpool were alive to that. Van Dijk with the clearance, but here's Foden. Foden's in. Callagher comes out and makes the save. An excellent sliding, blocking save when it seemed that it was Foden's there, the chance to make it 2-1 City.
And I would suggest that the chance just before it was just as good. The ball on the left-hand side with Alvarez, he should have found someone with the cross ball into the middle. 2 amazing opportunities there for Manchester City, couldn't take them.
Yeah, and Liverpool struggling to get it away here, which they do eventually. Gomez, Endo though, the heavy touch, Rodri, back centrally to Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva now, here is Ake. Ake out towards the left. Alvarez will be beaten to it by Conor Bradley, who passes the ball, hits it straight into Elliott, so it's out of play for a throw into Manchester City. The score is 1-1. Manchester City lose possession, and Diaz gets away after the challenge on the halfway line, finds the pass to Núñez, back to Diaz, heavy touch from Diaz, means the ball bounces through into the path of a sliding Ortega, who is a very relieved Manchester City goalkeeper.
The ball hasn't gone out yet. Silva should be getting a yellow card. He never got, but he lashed out. The referee has got to book him there.
Yeah, Bernardo Silva is he's losing the plot, and Liverpool are going to bring on Salah now very shortly. Salah is being readied by Liverpool to come onto the field with just over half an hour to play. So clearly there is the yellow card now for Bernardo Silva. That's been coming.
Yeah, I mean, it was a horrible lunge that he made to try and catch the player, but anyway, he got away, didn't get caught back. Now we've got a couple of changes. That might be Robertson, I'm trying to guess. Looks like Robertson in there. We shall see. Yeah, and he puts that jumper on.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
So that's not going to weaken Liverpool in any way, is it? Certainly going forward?
Robertson and Salah. But I think what we're seeing here, Bernardo Silva, this shows that Manchester City are rattled. They are rattled here, and we do not often see Manchester City rattled. Ball over the top from Kelleher. Szoboszlai chests it down, and then Bradley with a heavy touch. Alvarez is back in there. Rodri gives it to Ake, who this time does get a pass back to his goalkeeper. And Ortega, goodness me, passing the ball out centrally to Alvarez. He had to get that right. Then Gomez steps in for Liverpool. 25 yards out. Szoboszlai hits the shot. Well, he wanted to draw it in on his right foot. It actually faded away 6-7 yards wide.
I think you can possibly tell by the noise behind us that these Liverpool fans absolutely believe in their team now. They believe that they're not going to just get a point. They're going to go in and win this game. The liveliness that the team has showed in the second half. They're a younger team. They look a younger team. They've got about the pitch so well in the second half that Manchester City are hating having to play against us. Having said that, they've got great quality out there. It's brilliantly balanced and a knife edge now.
So it is Szoboszlai, who's only just been restored to the starting lineup after his recent spell, and Bradley, who are replaced. I think we've seen some lovely touches today by Szoboszlai.
Yeah. He's one of those players you kind of just know it's going to be fine. It's going to be good enough. You know, he'll grow into himself, he'll grow into the game, he'll understand it better, he'll power up. He's a lovely player to watch.
So Salah is on for the last half hour. Salah, who's scored 11 goals against Manchester City in 19 appearances, scored in all 4 matches between the sides last season, including the winner here in the Premier League. And the score is 1-1. And Robertson having come on, that means that now Gomez has gone across to...
Yeah, he's gone across to kind of right back-ish, but he's trying to get forward from that position. He looks much more comfortable in there. And that's, of course, watching the way he's standing there, he's moved a little bit further up than left back. Well, surely they're not going to... they wouldn't go back 3, they never do that, surely.
I think Gomez has been encouraged, hasn't he, when he's in that role, to step into the midfield role, which he's very comfortable with. As Van Dijk passes the ball away, and Gomez is caught in possession by Alvarez. Here's Haaland. Gomez bounces off him. Haaland gives it to Alvarez. Ball infield, took a deflection. Rodri's after that, but he's beaten to it by Nunez. And Liverpool look to break here. They've got their tails up. An early pass through the middle. Diaz is now in, and Diaz shoots wide. As Ortega came out, he opened his body, but couldn't direct it on target.
The ball comes to Salah. You know that he is going to play the right pass there. There is only one pass and one moment that he can play that 40-yard pass into an area. He does it, gets it absolutely right, and he should get it on target there. What an opportunity. Can't quite take it. He was being closed down, but you expect to get that on target.
So Manchester City, they're under pressure here, make no mistake about that. Under pressure in this match, all square, having led for such a long time in the match after the John Stones goal halfway through the first period. Lines are open for 606, by the way, to talk about this and all of the day's action. 08 085 909 693 to book your call with Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton. They will be chock full tonight. Here is Elliott, then forward from the right-hand side. Salah to Nunez. Diaz is in the middle. Diaz on the right foot, and then the covering challenge from Walker to force it behind for a corner. And again, Diaz with a chance, not taken.
It's the first groans I've heard this afternoon from any of these Liverpool fans. They cannot believe he didn't have a shot on target there. He's through. He's won it. Just hammering the goalkeeper. There's plenty of time there. You've got to dink it first time. It lets it go behind him. You do not get 2 touches there. And the ball goes out for a corner kick. Good defending by Walker.
Yeah, well played, Walker. Liverpool's first corner of the match. Liverpool 1, Manchester City 1. Delivery is into the back post, stretched by Akanji, who headed it beyond the far post. He was off balance, so it's out of play for a throw-in, for a corner from the other side. So Robertson makes his way all the way from the right to the left. Andy Robertson, 30 tomorrow, his final day of his 20s, and the number 26 is waiting to take this corner for Liverpool deep into the edge of the 6-yard box. It bounces all the way to Salah. He hits the shot, comes back to Salah, whose right foot effort is across the face of goal and wide of the far post.
So we were talking at half-time, Steve Crossman and I were talking, and he was suggesting that Liverpool had more of the game, and I'm thinking, I'm not sure about that. Yeah, I'll take that back, Steve, you're right. Absolutely spot on, mate. Controlling the game now. We're really looking very, very dangerous, but that's not to say they're going to necessarily win it.
Well, now, there's a sign as well. De Bruyne seemed to labour there as the ball was taken off him, and Liverpool come again. It's red wave after red wave, and now Alexis McAllister with a shot that Ortega dives to his left. May have been going just wide, but the Manchester City substitute goalkeeper wasn't going to leave it.
They've just been close down the midfield. They cannot get the ball control. They can't hold it. They've been everywhere they look. It seems as if there are 2 or 3 more red shirts on the field just now if you're a Manchester City player, which is exactly what Liverpool love to do to teams. The thing is, in second half, it's usually in front of the Kop. Not in front of the Kop this time. It doesn't matter.
1-1, 2 big chances for Diaz, not taken, but more chance. Now Robertson swings it into the near post. That's headed away by Rodri. Comes out for Liverpool, and Salah plays it all the way back to the goalkeeper Kelleher, who made a very important save, we shouldn't forget, from Foden. Liverpool up to the edge of the penalty area. Rodri steps in and is able to find a pass to Bernardo Silva down the line. Here is Kevin De Bruyne. De Bruyne tried to find Haaland, but Van Dijk stepped in and cleared it away from the big Manchester City number 9. The whistles now as Manchester City come forward. Walker. Here is Foden on the right-hand side. Foden back to John Stones, who goes back to Akanji. Liverpool supporters have enjoyed that period of domination for their team, but now the boot is on the other foot as Walker crosses from the right, but gets right underneath that and sends it bouncing out for a throw-in on the other side.
I mentioned the fact that Walker had a cross that he should have taken a little bit of pace off in the first half. That one was even harder when it went out the ground, the far side. Just a little bit of panic when he got there.
And the grey Merseyside skies. It's Liverpool 1, Manchester City 1. You're listening to it on BBC Radio, on 5 Live and the World Service. Listen as well to the live radio via BBC Sounds as McAllister has his legs taken away from him, and it's a free kick to Liverpool halfway inside their own half that they're looking to take quickly. Van Dijk strikes it downfield. Diaz on the chase for this. Diaz has now got it. Walker puts in the challenge. Ball bounces forward, and across comes Akanji to make sure it doesn't bounce through for a corner. Out of play for a throw that Diaz takes to Elliott with a blonde curly hair. Elliott, who's now moved back into a midfield position after Salah has come onto the field, comfortable in either. Endo, McAllister, scorer of the equaliser from the penalty spot. McAllister, then to Elliott. Elliott, a little shuffle forward from him. Now Robertson. Robertson goes back towards Endo, nearer the halfway line. And Liverpool take up the possession inside the Manchester City half again. And City are going to bring on a couple of substitutes very shortly. And Kevin De Bruyne is going to be substituted. De Bruyne and Alvarez are to be taken off. Robertson crossing from the left. Oh, and that drops just beyond the far post. That was a tricky one for Ortega. Not sure whether the wind caught it, but it dropped beyond the far post for a goal kick.
Yeah, now, to be honest, anyone in that midfield could have been taken off. Absolutely anyone in that midfield. Alvarez is not surprised. I mean, on the left-hand side there, a little bit of pace, going to bring a Doku. That makes absolute sense. But in the central midfield area, it's an absolute toss-up. You're looking at Silva. You could have taken him up. He's on a yellow card and he's getting a bit excitable. You know, De Bruyne has been very, very quiet in the second half. And you mentioned the word laboured there. He's looked laboured for a while, and he's having a bit of a disagreement with Pep Guardiola there, Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah, they've spotted that. The home supporters have spotted that and have seized on it. A cheer because and Kevin De Bruyne has not sat down yet. Someone else has said something to him, another one of the coaches. I think it might be Juan Malillo, the assistant, who there is a frank exchange between De Bruyne and him as well.
It's really strange that, because I mean the obvious one to take off was Silva. I mean De Bruyne's not a great half, but you know, Silva, he's injured, he's not had a great impact in the game so far, and he may have been saying, well, why not take him off? But it's very odd, it's very un-De Bruyne-like.
Well, Kovacic is now on. Kovacic, and here is Doku, the other substitute, who missed the second leg against Copenhagen. Just a little muscle injury. So back and fit and back in the team. And De Bruyne off the field.
Do you know, I think I've gauged it why I figured it out. I think he's trying to get Foden central. So get Foden more central, because he's not been involved in the game, Foden, but he doesn't lack energy. And then you can put Silva out a little bit wider here.
Yep. Liverpool 1, Manchester City 1. Yep, that's exactly what's happened. So Bernardo Silva now moving out towards the right-hand side with Kovacic centrally, closer to Rodri. And we've got 20 minutes to go. Absolutely fascinatingly poised. Sport of the very highest quality. We will bring you more of it as well in the next week. Champions League commentaries from London and Madrid. But here on Merseyside, Diaz plays it forward towards the edge of the area, tidied up by Stones, cleared by Ortega, but straight to McAllister, who's passed through the middle, bounces off Rodri, Salah's onto this, but Ake gets there first. Two former Chelsea men together, and Ake left-footed out of the off the field for a throw on the far side.
You've got to be brave, Ortega, to play it out for the back there, knowing you're going to get the ball back after what's happened already to Ederson, but they will keep on playing their way.
Yeah, Liverpool no let up here. Here they come again. Van Dijk, Robertson's ball in. Oh, good save, Ortega. Very good save from Nunez in the middle. They got there more or less at the same point, but the goalkeeper blocked it well.
Do you know what? Classic Robertson for a kick-off there. Gets down the line, brilliantly, puts the ball in. I think Nunez does everything right. He gets contact on the ball, but the keeper was out there like lightning.
Great pass from Robertson it was. But now here's Haaland. Haaland, then to the left-hand side to Doku. Doku just cuts it back. Doku back to Kovacic. I remember Kovacic scoring a brilliant goal for Chelsea against Liverpool at Stamford Bridge a few years back. You'll remember that well, Pat, I'm sure. Kovacic turns, puts his foot on the ball, gives it to Rodri, and again the boos and the whistles. The Liverpool fans just want their team to attack and to win this match and to go back to the top of the table above Arsenal. Now forward with the pass from Walker, but that's overhit. Bernardo Silva won't reach that. Goal kick, Liverpool.
I mean, that ball is absolutely never on. I mean, it's not a pass you think, oh, that was close. If that's going to reach Silva there, you've got to put it at the outside here, but he's curled it in there, and you know, that's a team that was trying to control the ball for a moment and just gave it away needlessly.
And then Walker in on the challenge. It's 50-50 with Diaz, and it bounces all the way through and out for another goal kick to Liverpool. So it is 1-1, 6-06 on the way with Robbie Savage and birthday boy Chris Sutton. 08 085 909 693. Champions League commentaries Tuesday and Wednesday. Don't miss the second leg of Arsenal Porto on Tuesday night. Then we're in Madrid on Wednesday night, and Cheltenham as well. Every race live on Sports Extra and 5 Live during the course of Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday at the Cheltenham Festival. Spring must be round the corner, even though it doesn't feel it. Doku to Ake. Ake's ball in from the left-hand side. Oh! Callaghan dived for it. Foden was in there. It hit Foden. Rebounded onto the top of the crossbar and over the top.
That is an extraordinary piece of play there. Foden had no idea. And I think he's punched the ball straight into Foden's face. Smashed off him. In off the crossbar. I mean, Foden's brave going in there, but the goalkeeper has to be brave coming out as well. What was absolutely hilarious of it, Kelleher looked at Foden as if saying, like I care, mate. That's exactly what happens. Off his chin
onto his arm, I think. Chin onto arm, then onto the crossbar. So if that had ended up extraordinarily in the back of the net, I think it would have been ruled out as Nunez heads it on now. When there's a 50-50 between Walker and Salah, and that was at high pace. Salah's come off worst, and then Ortega had to be quick to clear that away from Elliott, who was sliding in on him. He just got it away.
And any Arsenal fans who was watching this, who were watching yesterday, would have remembered the pain they went through, and the keeper just Ortega second. In fact, I'd say he'd have a quarter of a second later, he'd have lost the goal there.
And Salah's okay. I did wonder when he went down there. Gakpo is going to be brought on by Jurgen Klopp. Liverpool 1, Manchester City 1. This is high intensity, high octane Premier League football. Kovacic out to Doku. Doku got 2 Liverpool players on him, moves infield, slips the ball to Kovacic inside the penalty area. Kwanzaa has gone out there with him. Doku is available. Doku up against Elliott, slips the ball infield to Rodri, and he plays it back to Walker nearer the halfway line again. Walker has enraged the home supporters because it was Walker's challenge on the sainted Salah. Walker now back to Bernardo Silva here on the right hand side. They're booing and whistling everyone now, and Gakpo is going to come on for Nunez, who came so close to scoring the goal that would have taken Liverpool in front for the first time in the match. Manchester United have drawn here this season, Arsenal have drawn here this season, but everyone else has been beaten. Currently the score 1-1. Manchester City, who have yet to win against another one of the top 5 in the Premier League this season, incidentally. Bernardo Silva now in comes the challenge from McAllister on Stones, and it's out of play for a throw-in to the visitors, to the champions, 10 yards away from the corner flag. Pat Nevin.
You know, we're talking about Kevin De Bruyne, I'm so disappointed going off. Nunez went, what, me? You're taking me off just now? He desperately wants to stay on, but what player wouldn't want to stay on in a game like this? It's been so fascinating to watch. It has ebbed and flowed huge amount, I must say. And really, in terms of the second half, Liverpool would be devastated. It'd be unfair for them if they didn't get at least something out of this game. I think they've been fabulous in the second half.
We've got 15 minutes to play here at Anfield. Liverpool 1, Manchester City 1. They're at half-time in extra time in the Women's FA Cup quarter-final, where it is Tottenham 1, Manchester City 1. And the ball is out again for another throw to Manchester City down the right-hand side. Just can't help but my eyes be drawn to Erling Haaland. Has he had a chance in the match yet?
Scarcely. I mean, I suppose
just when he ran through with Van Dijk, yeah. But while he's there, he's like a lurking menace, isn't he? A big, blonde, lurking menace.
He looks tired. Liverpool are pushing out now, playing higher up the field there. Haaland's not staying with them. He really is labouring himself, but it may well be that he's just saving it for the last couple of sprints that he'll have to do.
Kevin De Bruyne won't find him with a pass though. He's off the field now. Here's Bernardo Silva making ground down the right. Walker on the overlap. Walker challenged by Robertson. They've had some tussles over the years. Walker then plays it infield, and he's given it to Liverpool, but McAllister's ball has got too much on it. Ortega, well out of his box, heads it forward to Rodri in the centre circle.
Honestly, Man City fans, a massive intake of breath there. He had to get that header right. He got it perfectly right. But it's the same, Pep Guardiola demands that his goalkeepers come out and be players, and he got it spot on there.
Yes, he did. After the match, he'll be saying to his teammates, I don't know what you're worried about. As ball played forward to Foden in this central position now, but little touch from him. Ran to Van Dijk. Diaz in the centre circle. Rodri is able to rescue it, and then John Stones is going to give it back to Ortega, who passes it out to Ake over there on the far side, with Salah breathing down his neck. But in the classic Guardiola Manchester City way, he's able to find the path to John Stones. Now Rodri back to Ake again, who returns the ball to the goalkeeper, and Ortega spins a pass to Bernardo Silva. There's space here for Foden in the central area. Foden, square ball from him to Kovacic. Kovacic now out to the left hand side to Doku. Doku into the box, shoots goalwards into the defender. Gomez it was, and that actually took all of the pace off it, and it just ran through to Kelleher, almost like a back pass.
It's slightly surprising much Doku since they've come on, because the joy of him so far in his career has been he gets involved and he goes beyond players. He does it almost every time at the start of his career at Manchester City. He's got the ball 3 times so far, not tried to go by the player once. He just ran up to him, and that time just shot far too early, when he had players that had run in, including Foden, that he could maybe have found.
Yeah, rather surprisingly. Remember, he had the 4 assists in the match against Bournemouth. There's only one other assist in the Premier League that he's got to his name so far this season as a Manchester City player, as Ake does well against Gomez and wins a throw-in. Played the ball off the Liverpool right back, as he is now, and it's through for a goal kick. So 08085 909 693 to talk to Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton, who'll be taking your football calls on 606 on 5 Live. You can read all about this match on the BBC Sport website as Gomez plays it forward to Salah. Salah across the penalty area. Diaz is forced to take it out of the box into the full-back position by Walker. Now the Liverpool number 7 finds McAllister. Endo, the Japanese, back to the just forward of the centre circle. Kwanzaa glides between two players and shoots low. Ortega makes a save, but pushes it across the penalty area and pushes it to safety, and a point where Bernardo Silva can clear the ball out for a throw.
Great confidence for Kwanzaa. He's growing as a player, and that time he just bursts forward, sees a little bit of gap, gets it on target, and once again Liverpool are applying the pressure, and you just look around. I keep on looking for where is Mo Salah. You get the feeling he's going to have another effect in this game, one way or the other.
With this scoreline, Arsenal would stay top on goal difference from Liverpool. Just 2 points currently separating the top 3 in the Premier League. And you will hear Manchester City Arsenal after the internationals here on 5 Live. Van Dijk with a great long pass to Salah, and Salah with a cross too close to the goalkeeper, who can pluck it out of the air with his white gloves.
Yeah, not like him. He wants to be on his left foot most. He's capable on his right, but he wants to be on his left foot. That time his right puts it straight to the goalkeeper. What was noticeable there, that when he picked up the ball there, Ortega, there was a chance to break, which is what usually Manchester City do. They didn't. However, they are now.
Rare touch from Haaland, who gives it to Kovacic. Now it's found its way to Doku. Doku running against Kwanzaa, goes for the byline. His cross headed away at the back post by Robertson. It was over the top of Van Dijk, but there was red there in the shape of Robertson behind him. And now Diaz goes through a couple of challenges. Diaz from running it deep inside his own half. He's got Rodri and he's got Walker with him. Rodri's left on the ground. He's beaten Walker as well. And then the cross hits Walker and bounces behind the corner. He's ended up. He's ended up on his backside, Diaz, celebrating with both fists in the air.
You know, if you're getting chased by those two, who don't mind a tackle between them, they've got such power, such strength, yet you win the day as the winger. You're delighted with that. I mean, he's had a really interesting game. He's had 2 brilliant chances in the second half. Diaz not been able to take them. On that occasion, he's won a corner, and he almost celebrated it like a goal.
That was hilarious. This game will probably be being shown in Bogota, and they'll have enjoyed that. Robertson with the outswinging corner that is headed over the top by the arriving Van Dijk. He scored the goal in the cup final. Would it be too much to ask to also score the winning goal against Manchester City a couple of weeks later? Well, that was high over the top.
Yeah, it was. Just looking at it just now, you are looking at the big players. You can see what Guardiola's done. He knows that Foden's is most likely, so he's tried to get him in a position where maybe he can get the ball in the final third. And again, he looks much more dangerous again when he's in here. He's more involved in the game, but not as involved as he would like to.
1-1, breathless match. It's been what entertainment, Pat.
Yeah, I mean, I love the way the 2 managers have made the decisions and changed it a little bit. Not made the more obvious ones a lot of the time, but they've not been frivolous, they've been sensible, and you keep on looking at it, and the more I watch it now, the more I think Liverpool are trying to win it just that bit more than Manchester City.
Yeah, they are. Gomez now carrying it forward. His pass though is overhit, but it's across the box, and Diaz gets there first. And now Robertson, left-footed cross towards the back post. Ake gets up, twists his head to head it away. Gomez with a shot that's blocked inside the penalty area. Shouts optimistically from the Liverpool supporters for handball. Liverpool take up possession again. Endo to the newly arrived Gakpo, and now here's Salah on the right hand side. Salah right across the box. Diaz, super challenge from Walker. He sensed the danger there, and he stayed down, but play continues. Elliott headed across the box by Robertson. McAllister shoots left-footed over the angle of post and bar, stretching for it. 12-13 yards out. Goal kick, Manchester City, and their goal survives.
It does, and Walker was down. They were down to 10 men. He was right, not far away from the penalty spot, and he looked at the referee. He says, as if to say, "Can you stop the play?" Yeah, right. There's no way in the world they're going to stop the play there when Liverpool are attacking, and neither indeed should Liverpool stop the play. Get on with it. It's not a head injury. He couldn't quite get the shot on target. And at this point in time, I'm not saying Manchester City are wasting time, but this is almost as if they've accepted that a point is about as good as they'll get.
Says a lot about the rivalry of these 2 clubs, these 2 managers in these recent times. that Manchester City, who we talk about, don't we, in terms of the Champions League, they are the favourites by a distance. But they come here, and this team, Liverpool, can play like this against them.
Fearlessly. And it's fearlessly with... we tend to forget about it. There's a lot of chat about young players that have come on, and not so many of them on today. But Bradley was on. Elliott is still very, very young as a player. McAllister's not ancient either. There's a lot of young players. Quansah's come in and built himself into a team. So this is a team that is building up against a Manchester City team that looks to me the finished article. But they're still not able to put Liverpool away yet.
And yet there could yet be another goal in front of the Kop. But it is Liverpool attacking towards the Anfield Road end again. Walker, having received treatment, is waiting to come back onto the field. So Manchester City with 10 men just at the moment. It's played back by Gakpo, and now here's Robertson driving forward again. Rodri was in the way, bounced off him down into the full-back position, and then Akanji, Robertson falls on the top of Akanji. The ball runs out of play, but I think it was given as a free kick to Manchester City, and we are into the last 5 minutes now. So stay with us until 6:06, 08085 909 693. We'll try and bring you the live interviews from down in the tunnel as well with the two managers. Stay tuned for that. If you don't hear them later, then they will be, I'm absolutely sure, on the 5 Live Football Daily podcast in the morning, and you can see the highlights on Match of the Day 2 tonight on BBC One, or indeed any time on the iPlayer. Still playing in the Women's FA Cup quarter-final, still 1-1 in the latter stages of extra time, and Manchester City with the ball that is deflected out of play for a throw into Manchester City on the halfway line. Quite an afternoon. 1-1 the score. It's been like Mothering Sunday, Oscars night, and the biggest game in the Premier League all rolled into one. Exactly. In fact, that's what it is. Rodri forward towards Kovacic, headed away by Quansah. Kovacic again, Rodri. We'll have all of the reaction, by the way, from the Oscars on breakfast on 5 Live in the morning. Here is Rodri being put under pressure by Endo. The pass is a little short to Ake, who lifts it over the top, and it bounces all the way through to Kelleher.
Certainly not had it his own way today, Rodri, has he? I mean, he's been closed down constantly. He's not really got forward at all to help a little bit. He likes to come from deep, but he likes to get forward with the odd shot. He has got nothing going forward, certainly in this second half. He has just been trying to chase shadows most of the time, and he looks a very tired player out there. In fact, there's quite a few in light blue that look tired.
Yeah, but they don't play now, Manchester City. They've got a week now until the cup tie next weekend. You'll hear that on 5 Live as well, coverage of the FA Cup quarter-finals next weekend, 5 Live and the World Service. Manchester City with a free kick, 15 yards inside their own half. And I think they'll look at this City, Pep Guardiola, if it were to finish as a draw, and say, you know what, that's a good result in the circumstances. Ball played up towards the halfway line where Kovacic is challenged by Gomez, and then McAllister battling for it. Kovacic is in again. In comes Endo. The ball on the ground, Kovacic on the ground, Endo's in there, and Rodri is eventually the man who comes out with the ball. Michael Oliver just allowing it to flow there.
That could have gone a very ugly way.
It could. As Van Dijk passes the ball back to Kelleher, controls it on his right foot, and then all in black, much leaner figure than Alisson appears from this distance, but he's performed well, Kelleher. Manchester City taking possession again. Just 2 minutes to play. 1-1 earlier in the season in Manchester after Alexander-Arnold scored the late equaliser. 1-1 here on Merseyside, but still time to play. Elliott's pass was a little short. Walker stepped in. Walker looked up. Doku wanted it on the far side. Instead it goes through the middle of Foden. Now Haaland does well, works it to Doku. Doku is up against Gomez. It's 1-on-1. Doku into the box, shoots low, hits the post, and bounces back into the arms of the Liverpool goalkeeper Kelleher.
He can't get any closer than that. Brilliant play by Foden. Manages to just get it out to Haaland. Wait a moment. Salah's in, right side of the box, shoots straight at the goalkeeper Ortega, who's able to hold it. Oh, they're finishing this game the way they started this game. 100 miles an hour. The game is so stretched at the moment. There's tired players, but very noticeable. The players that are actually coming to the fore often are the ones that have just come on. Doku get the ball there, has one off the post. What a difference that could have made to this entire league. Having said that, John, has this been the season of more late goals than you have ever seen in your entire life? And rating nothing off yet, even though it's 89 minutes on the clock.
It's a very good point. Liverpool, who've scored no fewer than 24 goals from the 76th minute onwards this season. Rodri, and of course the late winner at Forest last weekend, 90 plus 9, wasn't it? Here's Doku, just having hit the post, plays it back to the edge of the penalty area, looking for Kovacic, but McAllister stepped in. And
8 minutes.
There are 8 minutes of added time that are going to be played at the end of this match. Producer Gary was slightly confusing me because you had your finger and your thumb together, and I was thinking, what does that mean? 8 minutes. There is laughter in the stands that Liverpool have another 8 minutes, perhaps.
Oh, they're loving it. I mean, they don't want the game to finish. I mean, just even if you're a football fan, you want to be here. You're loving the tension. I mean, in these last few minutes, Doku's hit the post. Foden's had chances. Nunes had a brilliant opportunity.
Rodri passing it over the top of Haaland, but he wasn't going to reach that, so chipped it over his head through to Kelleher.
You have to zip it into his feet at that point in time. Let him deal it. He can deal with that.
Yeah, lots to talk about. 08085 909 693. Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton waiting to take your calls on 5 Live. But 5 Live in the World Service. These the last knockings of Liverpool and Manchester City, with Elliott down the right, getting the crossover, but it's a stretch and a header wide of his own near post by Stones for a Liverpool corner in added time.
And it is classically one the old two boxers just slugging it out at the end now. One attacks, the other attacks. Both of them are exhausted, but there's still some chances to go yet. There's 7 whole minutes left. There must be a couple of chances left.
Pat Nevin has already flagged up the possibility of yet another late goal or two in this Premier League match. Corner for Liverpool. Robertson takes it right across the area. Walker gets up, gets his head to it for Manchester City. Salah plays it straight into Doku. Comes back to Salah. His ball to the edge of the area, groans right onto the forehead of Bernardo Silva. Gomez now, his right-footed ball out towards the far side. It's played back by Robertson to Elliott. I have to confess, when Doku hit that shot, I thought that was bound for the far bottom corner, but it hit the post instead. That close to Manchester City taking the lead again, but Liverpool have come so close at the other end. Centre circle now. Stones opened the scoring in the first half. McAllister equalised with a penalty early in the second. Now here's Salah on the right-hand side. His cross hits Stones, shouts for handball. Comes back to the Liverpool top scorer. Now to McAllister on the edge of the area. Back to the right-hand side to Elliott. Sets himself. Here's the cross into the area. Van Dijk heads it down, cleared away by Akanji. Hit the Manchester City defender, who just lifted it right-footed into the air and clear of the box. Liverpool come again, but Manchester City nip it back. Bernardo Silva, Foden. Excellent challenge by Van Dijk. The recovering Van Dijk on the young star Foden.
He's outstanding. He is absolutely having one of these great games. Van Dijk, he's covered brilliantly, he's tackled when he has to, he's read the play brilliantly. He hasn't given Haaland a sniff. I mean, I don't know who they're going to give him a match today, but he's got to help there.
I can tell that he's your main contender.
Oh yes.
As Rodri plays the ball back from the halfway line to Ortega, who comes forward. He's done well, Ortega, since he's come on, actually, stepping in for the injured Ederson. As McAllister passes the ball over the halfway line with the angle to Elliott. There are 2 Liverpool players to his right. Salah's one of them. Offside flags up. Gakpo shoots against the bar. Elliott smashes it into the net. But the offside flag had long gone up from Dan Cook on the far side, the assistant.
Really surprised that Mo Salah went so early there. It seemed obvious to me that he needed to hold off. But he'd ran far too early. Man City knew exactly what they were doing there. Always played down, but the City players had actually stopped before that ball was in the back of the net. So yes, the ball did end up in the back of the net in injury time, but hasn't counted.
So it remains 1-1. Arsenal would stay top via their now excellent goal difference at the end of Liverpool's recent winning run, but it's not over yet. Still, we've got 4 minutes of added time to play. Manchester City, though, in possession with Rodri. Rodri back to Kovacic, and then Kovacic back to the number 16, Rodri, and Liverpool forcing Manchester City deeper, back into their own half. Rodri thought about the early pass, the long pass to Doku. Actually, it's Ake, who then finds Doku. Doku up against Kwanzaa, speeds into the penalty area, pulls it across, Foden with a flick, but he flicked it against his own leg, it bounced away and Liverpool were able to clear.
And it's another chance, you've got to say that's a chance. You know that Foden's got that in his locker, that he could do that little back flick heel. If he didn't catch his own foot, he'd have trouble for Keller.
Yeah, and then given away by Salah on the halfway line, Bernardo Silva. If it had been Bernardo Silva, Pat, instead of Foden, then we've seen some extraordinary flicks and tricks and goals from him.
Yeah, but I agree that he's perfectly capable of doing it, but so is Foden. He's got that in his locker to do it. Couldn't quite pull it off. And Foden, for what I always say about maybe Liverpool having a lot more possession in the second half, remember, Manchester City have hit the post twice.
Good point. Although I think
would work.
I think Foden's effort would have been real. You're not so sure. You're not so sure. Liverpool 1, Manchester City 1. It's been a really characterful performance from Liverpool in the second half. 1-0 down at the break. Really tested against Manchester City to, from that position, not to lose.
Just looking at it now, John, both sets of fans, although would want to win the game, if you're a Liverpool fan, you can't walk away disappointed with anything here. Your team, they've played really, really well. The City, they know they've asked a big question.
Elliott flights one forward. It might bounce for Gakpo. Still Gakpo near the penalty spot. Oh, and then a challenge by Ake on Salah, who went down, but referee Oliver was probably 5 yards away and immediately said no. And then I think maybe Bernardo Silva said something to Salah, and he didn't like that. And the two of them have had words. Just the players milling around. It's no pushing or shoving. And Salah is upset, certainly with Bernardo Silva. There's finger pointing. And Michael Oliver, the referee, just walks away and leaves them to it. It's out for a throw.
Bernardo Silva, and they're not really noted for this, but he's been in a right mood today, hasn't he? He's in a lot of fouls, niggles, blocking players all the time. But he's suggesting that Salah goes down easily there. Salah does kind of crumple slightly, but he doesn't look to me like a player who's looking for a penalty. He just kind of buckles his legs a little bit. He's not diving. It's not a Kai Havertz one.
Well, VAR will have looked at that, and they've backed up Michael Oliver's decision. Nothing doing in terms of a penalty. Still Liverpool 1, Manchester City 1. And we are now in the 8th minute, the final minute of added time. And here is Elliott on the right-hand side with some space. 3 Liverpool men in the middle. The cross hits the first defender, Ake, and bounces behind for what will be surely the final chance for a winner in this match, and it's a Liverpool corner.
Oh, you wouldn't put it beyond them, would you? Liverpool over the years have got so many. And you're looking at that man, Van Dijk, coming up here. He's looked very dangerous at corner kicks. Just needs a quality of the ball here from the right-hand side.
Andy Robertson, full of focus there, bounces the ball and catches it, places it on the quadrant. It's all about the delivery now, this. Robertson swings it into the near post. That's a brilliant header away for Manchester City. And then Doku with a challenge on the edge of the penalty area. More shouts for a penalty. The ball is scraped away to the left-hand side. I think it was John Stones who produced that brilliant defensive header. Oh, excellent work from Diaz to beat Bernardo Silva. Then to Salah. Salah's ball into the box, comes off the head of a defender, bounces behind. Liverpool player McAllister still down inside the box, but it'll be a corner, another corner to Liverpool.
Stayed down for the reason as if to say to the referee, you've got to check that. I was taken out of the play there. There was no contact with the ball. This should be a penalty kick. We're going to see it again now. Doku doesn't get the ball, Doku. His feet are high.
That could be a penalty.
That's givable. That is definitely givable.
That could well be a penalty. It was a bouncing ball in between the two players.
It's just whether he gets the ball. And he almost gets a tiny touch of the ball as he hits the player in the chest. So it's not clear and obvious. I don't think he's going to give it.
It looks as though it has been looked at very quickly, and they've decided to stick with the on-field decision by Michael Oliver. The crucial touch from Doku on the ball, but he did rake his foot down McAllister. Here's the corner, Robertson to the near post. That one's headed away to safety by Rodri, and that is the last touch of the match as Jurgen Klopp and Pep Guardiola turn to one another and they embrace and they hold on to one another. Jurgen Klopp is patting Guardiola on the back, and Guardiola is patting Klopp on the chest, and that's it. That's the end of their Premier League history together, as long as Jurgen Klopp is as good as his word and doesn't manage anyone else in the Premier League. But what a history they've got, and it's finished 1-1 between them.
And it finished. A number of things happening around as well. You had to have eyes everywhere, and we'll have Steve coming in a minute telling us what he's seen, no doubt. But everyone around this ground just stood up and applauded at the end. It was a kind of, oh, thank you. Actually, that was brilliant. Everybody gave everything you've got there. It wasn't antagonistic in any way. It was a real understanding. And have a look at the players in the centre of the pitch now. They're all together. There is a real respect within all those players. Yeah, a few of them having a dig at the referee, I'll grant you that. But there is a massive respect between those two sets of players, as well as the manager there, but also these fans around here. They know they've seen what they deserve. They got their money's worth today.
Yeah, it was a real titanic Premier League battle between these two great clubs of the current era, champions in each of the last 6 seasons, Manchester City having won 5 of them, and Manchester City have got their sights set on 4 in a row. And really today, in that second half, I would have to say, and I know that Doku came so close to winning it for them, but I think Pep Guardiola will readily and happily accept getting something from this match.
I'll make a Manchester City argument for the sake of the argument. Back to there, Foden had 2 chances to score, 2 very, very good chances to score. One of them, obviously, the one that hit the bar, but the one down at the corner here on our near side, one of them with the goalkeeper, it was an angle that he's quite capable of scoring from there. Doku, as you say, hit to the post. But on top of that, you've got to think, Luis Diaz had 2 phenomenal chances that he didn't take. And I'm just happy with one thing. See if it had been one player had missed one big chance and the finger could be pointed to him, it's horrible. It's not like that today. It absolutely isn't like that today. Lots of players had lots of chances. There was lots of good defending, lots of good attacking. It's just a good game. It finished 1-1. You could argue if you're blue or if you're red, either slightly deserved it, but it's tight. And it probably ended up exactly the score any of us would have betted on had we needed to.
Yeah, the players in sky blue, one in front of the other, just heading down the tunnel as the Liverpool players go around the pitch. So their home record here at Anfield in Jurgen Klopp's final season remains intact, still unbeaten. Draws against Manchester United, Arsenal and now Manchester City. And this scoreline as Jurgen Klopp goes round as well, clapping his hands to those remaining inside Anfield. Manchester City next in the Premier League play the current leaders Arsenal after the international. So I hope you join us for that on 5 Live in the World Service. But as the applause rings around Anfield after a final score of Liverpool 1, Manchester City 1. And Steve Crossman is sitting up here with us, drinking it all in.
Remarkable game that. Liverpool players, Manchester City players now almost all off the pitch and down that famous Anfield tunnel. What a game, what a game. Liverpool won, Manchester City won. The question Pat Nevin has been asked all week, really, why is it that Pep Guardiola, in his long rivalry with Jurgen Klopp, has not won here at Anfield apart from when there weren't fans? And it's the apart from when there weren't fans which has been so pertinent, because this today was the full-fat, full-on Anfield experience. Liverpool players getting their crowd going, the crowd getting the Liverpool players going, the intensity of it, and City have come out of it with something.
Yeah, I mean, it's brilliant that City actually managed to survive that. You see all the positivity that Liverpool fans gave to their own team, but what about the negativity that Liverpool fans gave towards Manchester City?
Yeah,
booing them every single time they're on the ball. Now, that'll spook you now and again if you're a player. You want to play your passing, controlling game, but you're getting battered, you're getting howls of abuse every single second, every time you hold the ball. So it's not comfortable possession you've got. They played their part today. We talked about it before the game. This crowd played their part today and helped Liverpool, but it wasn't quite enough.
You know, Pat, I wrote down on my piece of paper in front of me, just on the lines of what you were saying there about the way the Liverpool fans were booing the Manchester City players. Am I at the Bernabeu or the Camp Nou? That's how it sounded, when the opposition has the ball and all you hear is the whistling and booing.
Yeah, and that's one of the great things that you've got if you play international football, or if you're a club like Liverpool or Manchester City and you're going to be playing all around the world. Your fans are going around and they're saying that. And we've all played in these atmospheres, and you think, right, look, some of us are a bit weird. We actually just love them. You just see that, give me more of that. You love annoying other fans, and if they're booing you, you know they're worried about you as well. So you take that positive psychology out of it. But not everyone is like that. Absolutely. And if you're having a shaky game and you're not at your best, that can spook you that little bit more. But yeah, the Liverpool fans, it's as if Jurgen's gone into the papers and online and, you know, Liverpool television and everywhere to say, need you this week, need you all this week, you've got to be doing it. And what Jurgen says, these fans will do. They've done it with bells on today. So that was brilliant to see that today. For Manchester City, you know, they didn't play badly at that, but they were a long way for their best. But the vast majority of the reason for that is where they were playing and who they were playing against. They were made to look tired. They weren't comfortable on the ball for long periods of time. They were, you know, for I would say 10-20 minutes at the start of the game, I thought they looked fabulous and were getting in great positions. But little tweaks here and there by Jurgen, and then they come into it more and more. And I think you maybe spotted it before me, Steve. By the end of the first half, they were beginning to really dominate's a harsh word.
Yeah.
Maybe too strong. But they were the more likely team to go on and win it. But looking at all the chances, I mean, good luck match of the day too tonight. Try to get that down to 10 minutes worth of highlights. Good luck.
I don't know, Pat, if I've seen a team do that to Manchester City before. Certainly not in a long time. And City had chances.
I can give you one.
Give
you one. Aston Villa did it to them.
Yes.
Aston Villa.
Yeah.
But you're right. You're absolutely. It's so unusual. It only seems to happen away from home, but it only seems to happen on very, very special occasions. I said to you in the first half that Liverpool tried this real close down, high up the pitch, and then they were breaking through. They were going to break through the press. They broke through the press. But Liverpool kept on doing it. They kept on getting tight in the midfield. They kept on harrying them. It was about a minute. Now that seems like nothing, doesn't it? But see if you're sprinting, every single one of you, for a minute to close down. And I said, well, if you keep on doing that, and good luck to you being able to do that, then you'll get a chance of winning. Well, they did. They kept on doing it, and eventually the team that wilted in the midfield was Manchester City. And you take De Bruyne off, and Rodri starts looking tired, and then you got Silva, who's getting ratty. You know, he's blocking people and kicking people and arguing with people, which is not his game. So yeah, they got inside their heads, and it's because they done it for their fans, they done it for their club, they done it for their manager, they done it for themselves.